ESPN's presentation of the Divisional Series is brought to you by Pfizer, where life is our life's work.
San Francisco, the site of this game one of the Giants-Mets Division Series, and the new showplace in downtown San Francisco, Pacific Bell Park. The Giants moving over from Candlestick this year, and they even moved a cable card into the ballpark as part of the scene here. And there's part of the bay that's called McCovey Cove, an inlet where a particularly long home run can land in the water. Barry Bonds hit 6. He's the only Giant to have hit any out there, and only 2 visitors have hit the ball into the water. Out in left field, Bonds, who had his best home run season, 49 home runs, finishing second in the league, only to Sammy Sosa of the Cubs, who had 50. And as you see the layout there, it's 339 down the left field line, but only 309 to the right field corner. But as you look down that right field line, that wall angles out very sharply, and the deepest part of the ballpark, there's the 309 marker in the right field corner. The wall there is 25 feet high, but in the right center field alleyway, it is 421 feet. So that wall is not exactly like Fenway Park. It angles out very sharply, and that is a place where home runs go to die, often into the glove of Ellis Burks, or if you can hit one out there between the outfielders, it's almost automatically a triple, if not an inside the park home run. The umpiring alignment, a 6-man crew. Jeff Kellogg behind home plate, Gary Cederstrom, Ed Montague, Dan Morrison working the bases, Larry Young along the left field line, Ted Barrett along the right field line. Now this is a bright, sunshiny day, no clouds overhead, and the experience in this ballpark, Joe, is that it is fierce on a cloudless, sunshiny day. The center fielder, the left fielder, the shortstop, the third baseman, any ball in the air is going to be perhaps very troublesome.
Well, it's very difficult to play the outfield here in the daytime. You'll see Barry Bonds and all the left fielders especially struggle on fly balls hit the left field.
Now, there are all kinds of little nooks and crannies in that outfield wall, and I think that's the reason for the lengthy discussion at home plate. Dusty Baker is pointing out all of the various aspects for which there are ground rules here, and so there's a lot of extra discussion there. John Stearns, the coach, is out there for Bobby Valentine's Mets.
They should have done this yesterday, John.
Yeah, where were they yesterday?
Yeah.
So they're working it out now to make sure everybody is on the same page with what the various peculiarities of this ballpark are. Meanwhile, our colleague Alvaro Martin is standing by downstairs. Alvaro.
John, well, Livan Hernandez is used to pressure. He had it in Cuba. He had it in the World Series with the Marlins. And yesterday we spoke to him in his native tongue about what he has to do against the Mets. Here's what he has to say.
De estar arriba de ellos siempre, tú sabes, tratar de tirar la pelota
low against the Mets. And of course, have a game plan that I stick to. Never make any mistake pitches, but really stick to my own game plan.
Y tratar de poner los lanzamientos bajitos. Pero si tú vas con deseo de ganar, tú ganas.
You have to come out and win, and you will win. That is his attitude. And of course, Livan Hernandez has great experience against the Mets this year, 1-1 with a 1.62 ERA, gentlemen.
So the crowd getting into it with the rally towels, and the Giants now take the field. The Giants clinched the division title 2 weeks ago tomorrow against the Arizona Diamondbacks here. The crowd had been given these rally towels that night, and it can be awfully difficult sometimes to see a ball when you're on the field because of those rally towels. There's Bobby Valentine, whose Mets are back in the postseason, the first time in Mets history that the ball club has made 2 consecutive postseason appearances. Here's the Pepsi Mets batting order. Benny Agbayani in left field against a right-hander. Bobby Valentine said, hey, he's one of our best hitters. So he's in there. Jay Payton moves up to the number 2 spot. The slumping Derek Bell being dropped down. Edgardo Alfonso had another fine season. at second base. Mike Piazza, the catcher, he says he's in better shape into the postseason this year than last. Robin Ventura at third base. He had a real down year. Todd Zeile, the veteran, a right-handed hitter, acquired to replace John Olerud at first base. Derek Bell, who finished with a horrible second half of the year in right field, batting seventh. Mike Bordick, the former Oriole, at shortstop, hitting eighth. And Mike Hampton, the veteran left-hander, on the mound. And on the mound with the Giants, Livan Hernandez, who was the MVP of the League Championship Series and the World Series, both in 1997, his first time in the big stage since then, Joe.
Well, the one thing about Livan, he is not fazed by all of this. He has pitched in big games in Cuba before, and he has pitched in big games here in the United States before. The great thing about him is that he keeps his composure. Even when he gets knocked around a little bit, he never quits. And I like that about him. He always seems to stay under control. And his task today will be able to keep the ball in the big part of this ballpark. And here's the defense, and it's a pretty good defense. I think a lot of people played better than people anticipated at the beginning of the season defensively, and especially on the infield, where Bill Miller played great at third. Jeff Kent had a good defensive year at second. They knew J.T. Snow was an excellent Gold Glove winner. So this has been a much better defense than people realized at the beginning of the season.
Bill Miller at third base, and Dusty Baker thinks he should win the Gold Glove at third base. First pitch is too high to Benny Agbayani. We are underway in San Francisco. Game one, the final series to get started. This year's division series. That's a called strike over the outside with a breaking ball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Livan Hernandez was 12-3 here. The Giants staff as a whole pitched much better here. Chased the high fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Agbayani.
The one thing that Hernandez does well is he will throw the breaking ball when he's behind in the count. That will keep the hitters from sitting on 1 pitch.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Just missing with the slider on the outside. 2-2. How did he lay off that pitch?
So far in this at bat, Agbayani has seen 3 different pitches: fastball, curveball, and the slider. And truthfully, that's what you want to do as the leadoff hitter. Give your teammates a chance to see all of his pitches in your first at bat.
And he's down on strikes. The high slider foul tipped into the glove of Escalera. There is 1 away.
Well, he came back with a slider. This is not nearly as good a pitch as the one before, in that it's right in the middle of the plate. Doesn't break that much. You see the target down the way. It's actually a hanger, but Agbayani overswings and swings right through it.
So Livan was living a little dangerously with that pitch.
He made a great pitch the pitch before with the slider, but that one he hung.
1 down. Here is Jay Payton, Mets rookie, a candidate for the Rookie of the Year honors in the National League. Back to the screen on the fastball, and it is 0-1. Payton hit .291 in his first full big league season. 17 homers, 62 batted in. Usually batted lower in the order. Derek Bell was pretty much a fixture in the number 2 spot. But Bell finished the year in such a terrible slump. He hit only .187 after the All-Star break.
Well, not only that, John, you put some more speed at the top of the lineup with Payton. Payton is very fast, and I like that move personally.
It's a called strike, 0-2.
Anytime you can put more speed at the top of the lineup, you're better off. And especially if they can hit. And Payton has proven that he can swing the bat.
Edgardo Alfonzo on deck. The slider, and that's where he wanted it. Strike 3.
Now that's the kind of slider that he threw to Agbayani the first 1 and 2 pitch. And this is what you want to do. Start it in the strike zone. It's a strike, and then let it move out. Anytime a hitter has 2 strikes on him and you start that ball in the strike zone, he has to commit.
So he's got Payton shaking his head. 2 down, nobody on. Edgardo Alfonzo. And of course, last year in the division series, it was the Mets and the Arizona Diamondbacks. And in game 1, Alfonzo sort of ruined the whole postseason for Arizona as he lit up Randy Johnson. Eventually hit a grand slam to break the game open late. He had another fine regular season. That's back to the screen. 1 ball, 1 strike. Garno, of course, last year was a number 2 hitter for the Mets, hitting in front of John Olerud and Mike Piazza, Robin Ventura. With the changes the Mets made in the offseason, he's been the number 3 hitter, just in front of Piazza this year. Mets have a real different look in that lineup. There's that slider again, and taken low with Piazza on deck.
It was a much more disciplined lineup last year. They had Ricky Henderson at the top, and Ricky got a lot of walks, and he also hit 300. Edgardo also is a disciplined hitter.
That slider into the hole and short. Long throw for Aurelia. Here it comes. It's right there. He got him by less than a step. So a very strong inning for Livan Hernandez. Now the Giants against Mike Hampton when we return. The San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge, one of the many scenic vistas from Pacific Bell Park, which is down right on the shores of the San Francisco Bay. There's Dusty Baker, the Giants manager, his 8th year as the Giants manager. He's won 2 Manager of the Year awards. Here is the Giants batting order turned in by Dusty Baker. The Pepsi starting lineup. It'll be Marvin Bernard in center, Bill Miller at 3rd, and Barry Bonds in left field. His best home run year, 49 big flies. Jeff Kent also with his teammate Bonds, an MVP candidate, and he's up there with Rogers Hornsby for run producing as a second baseman. We'll get into that later. Ellis Burks in right field, a sensational year. Rich Aurelia, powerful shortstop. J.T. Snow, the Gold Glover at first. Bobby Escalera as the catcher. Livan Hernandez, the pitcher, batting 9th. And on the mound with the Mets, a man who has never lost to the Giants, left-hander Mike Hampton.
And John Hampton, all he needs to do is be able to throw strikes in order to pitch a good game. He will, on occasion, lose the strike zone, and that's when he has problems. But he throws a good sinker. He changes speeds well, has a good curveball. So his main weapon is to keep the ball down and get the Giants to hit the ball on the ground.
Marvin Bernard, and that is a called strike. The Giants won 19 and lost 20 this year in games where left-handers started against them.
And John, that's great because they won 6 out of the last 7. They were really struggling earlier against left-handed pitching, but most teams struggle against left-handed pitching. Left-handed pitching, if you have a good left turn on the mound, things are in your favor.
1-2 the count to Bernard. That's strike 3 called. The slider got him looking.
Bernard thought that ball stayed inside, broke around the plate, but he's called out. And so far, Hampton has been able to throw strikes. Well, you can judge for yourself. That ball breaks, and you can see Piazza holds it right there. So that tells you Piazza thought it was a strike.
Well, as we mentioned with Hernandez on the strikeout to Agbayani in the first inning, that was not where Hampton wanted that pitch.
It was supposed to be a slider away, but he got it on the inside part of the plate.
Now Bill Miller, a switch hitter, batting right-handed. Fastball up and away. 1 ball and no strikes.
And one thing about Hampton, he is a competitor. I mean, he's tough. He was a football player, and he has that kind of mentality that he takes to the mound with him. So he is a tough competitor, and couldn't ask for a tougher guy to have on the mound.
That's a fair ball. Down the left field line through the bullpen. It's out of play. It bounced into the seats, so an automatic double for Bill Miller. A .306 average, 49 homers, 106 RBIs. He also walked 117 times, and he only had 480 at-bats. Chased the high one.
Well, the one thing Bonds doesn't have to worry about, and that is Hampton pitching around him. He may walk him because he's a little erratic at times, but Hampton will come after Barry as he does there. He's not really going to be worried so much about Barry. He figures he can get everyone out, and besides, you have Jeff Kent hitting behind Barry.
And you wonder if chasing that high pitch was Bonds showing a bit of over-anxiousness. Line drive, center field, base hit. Miller held up for a moment, and he's going to be held at 3rd. The throw all the way through, and Bonds goes to second. Jay Payton overshot his cutoff man, and Bonds took advantage.
Well, if anyone was worried whether they were going to pitch around Barry, they got the answer quickly. He comes after Barry with 2 fastballs. The first one was up and in. He didn't get this one in enough. And as he comes around third, Sonny Jackson is holding him up, and Bill Miller stops there.
So second and third, now Jeff Kent, the hitter. Kent hitting .334 in the regular season. 33 homers, 41 doubles, 7 triples, and 125 runs batted in. Kent has driven in more than 100 runs in 4 consecutive years as the Giants' regular second baseman. Only Rogers Hornsby among second basemen had ever done that before. There's that cut fastball on the inside for a called strike to Kent. And Hampton oftentimes is tougher on right-handers than he is on the lefties.
Well, because he has a good cut fastball, the slider he can throw inside, and then he tails the fastball away. That makes for a good combination against left-handed, right-handed hitters. See, he's staying right in on top of Kent with the first 2 pitches. Now watch where he goes. He'll eventually go outside or try to run something away from Kent.
Runners at second and third for the Giants, only 1 out. The Mets infield is back in normal depth. So Kent could get an RBI here rather cheaply by just hitting a ground ball toward the middle. Fly ball could do it. He doesn't have to have a hit necessarily to get a run home. Ellis Burks, another slugger, is on deck. He got jammed, and that will get the run home. Bonds took a gamble. He makes it as Bordick throws out Kent at first. Bordick might have had a shot to throw out Bonds at third, but Bonds made it without a play, and the Giants lead 1-0.
The reason Bordick took the play at first is because his momentum had him going towards first base, and it would have been very difficult for him to turn and throw it at third base. I think he made the right play. Now watch where his momentum is carrying. Going to be carrying him toward first base right there. See, now he'd have to turn all the way around and try to throw back to third base, and that would have been a very difficult play. So I think he made the right choice there.
Well, Kent did not hit it hard, but it got the job done. Now here is Ellis Burks. That's called a strike in the outside corner. Ellis Burks won the Giants Willie Mack Award, named for Willie McCovey, the Giants former Hall of Famer, who had the award named in his honor, and it's voted on by the players on the team. And some also thought maybe he was their most valuable player. That is too low for a ball. Ellis, who's got 2 bad knees, has had several surgeries, and oftentimes has to take a day off here or 2 days off there. But he hit .344, and in only 393 at-bats drove in 96 runs.
Not only that, their record was phenomenal when he was in the lineup.
Reaches for it, broken back. Zeal, Hampton covering, and that is the inning. But the Giants jump out with a run. Mike Piazza coming up for the Mets. We go to the second inning from San Francisco. 1-0 Giants. And welcome to Pacific Bell Park in San Francisco. We want to welcome the audience that has been watching the White Sox and Seattle Mariners game from Comiskey Park, Chicago. And the White Sox now are in desperate straits, heading to Seattle, down 2-0. Mike Piazza leads off the second against Livan Hernandez. Looks like Livan might have hung another one there, but Piazza pops it up, and it's caught by Rich Aurelia, looking up into that fierce San Francisco sunshine, and Piazza is quickly gone in the second.
And that's the second time in 2 innings that he's gotten away with a bad pitch. And you usually do not get away with it to Mike Piazza. He hung the breaking ball there, and Mike had a good swing at it. He just popped it up. And he hung the breaking ball to Agbayani in the first inning and struck him out. So he's going to have to make better pitches to some of these good hitters.
Robin Ventura, who had a great first year with the Mets last season, he takes down and away. He's the one who ended that epic battle in the League Championship Series with the Atlanta Braves with what turned out to be a grand slam single. And for Ventura, repeating has not been easy. He hit only .232 in the regular season. He's been all banged up. He takes a changeup outside, 2-1. The Giants lead this game 1-0. They got a run in the first. Bill Miller hit a double. Bond singled him to third, and then Kent brought him home with an infield out. It is a ball, and the count now 3-1 to Ventura with Zeal on deck.
And John, one of the reasons Ventura struggled most of the year, he had surgery in the offseason on his shoulder, left shoulder.
Pops it up. Foul. Coming over Escalera. He can't quite get there. He actually
he got there. He just couldn't get the ball. Nice try there by Escalera. He ended up on top of the camera well.
Now that was not here most of the year. That screen over the top of the cameraman. They're happy to have it though.
Now look at this. I mean, he is going all out to get it, and he just barely misses it, and his momentum carries him right over onto the screen.
Well, that was a pretty good test for that screen. Looks like it'll hold up.
Well, you can see home plate umpire Jeff Kellogg standing right there with him, making sure. But Ventura has never been 100% the entire season. That's one of the reasons he hasn't hit well.
Into deep center. Bernard going back at the warning track, at the wall, and he makes the catch. That is one of the Death Valley areas in this ballpark for a hitter. I mean, for a left-handed hitter to go that deep toward left center and not get anything for it, it doesn't happen in many parts.
That's why Livan Hernandez has been so successful here. That's a fastball away. He can't do a lot with it except go that way, and he hits it out to center field, and the ball just doesn't carry as well in that part of the ballpark. But Livan Hernandez pitches to this ballpark. He tries to keep balls to the middle of the diamond, and a lot of balls that are hit out there are going to be caught.
399 to straightaway center.
In that area there is where he wants to keep the ball.
That area over to the right. And the ball is popped up by Zeal. Jeff Kent looking up into that sunshine. The wind also blowing today, but he takes it with little trouble. Livan Hernandez has retired the first 6 batters he has faced. Now, for those of you watching on ESPN2, if you're going to stay with us, flip over now to ESPN for the rest of the telecast over on ESPN. 1-0 Giants. That glove, a model of an old-fashioned glove, is 501 feet from home plate. And the Coke bottle out there is sort of a kid's playground. Big slides inside there. Joe and I, long after everybody's left the ballpark today, we'll be out there doing some slipping and sliding. And then Joe will try to hit one into that glove from home plate, because I hear you get $1 million if you hit it up there.
I can maybe hit one from the left field wall.
Here is Rich Aurelia against Mike Hampton, and he takes a called strike. Aurelia showing bunt. Aurelia grew up in New York, and he grew up a Mets fan. And so there's particular excitement in the Aurelia household facing the Mets on such a big stage. 20 homers for the second consecutive year. Down the left field line. On the run, Agbayani gets there. Well away.
And that's what Hampton does best. The first pitch was a fastball he tailed away, and that's a cut fastball in that he jams the right-handed hitter with. And that's what he does really well, use both sides of the plate.
Now JT Snow. Snow used to be a switch hitter, gave that up after the 1998 season. And for JT, facing lefties as a lefty, actually held his own, hitting .256. And that slider low and outside for ball one. 1 ball and no strikes to Snow. Still one of the best first basemen in a long, long while.
You would expect Snow to get better each year, John, from the left side facing left-handed pitching, because it has been a long time since he's seen a ball going away from him. Everything, when you're a switch hitter, every pitch comes into you.
Which was part of his reluctance to give it up, even though he had never had much success as a righty. Got jammed on that one. Zeal and Hampton covering. Out number 2. Snow retired, and now Bobby Escalera will come up. The Giants in this ballpark, it's all about pitching. The Giants had a 3.45 earned run average as a team here, and a 4.99 earned run average on the road. I mean, a huge difference. But that seemed to also make their defense better. The Giants committed only 33 errors in their 81 home games. They committed 60 errors in their 81 road games. Estelea hits a little foul off to the left. So both the pitchers, the players in the field, they all seem to do better here.
But again, I think their defense surprised most people. I didn't think they had a really good defense, but they played really well this year. And that's really helps your pitching.
Bobby Estelea with some power, former Philadelphia Philly, takes high and tight for a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike to Estelea. The Mets played 1 series here this year, and the Giants played 1 series in New York. The Giants swept their 4 games here and lost 3 out of 4 to the Mets in New York. That one is a mile, but foul. And sometimes you see those with Hampton too.
Yeah, well, he throws the slider down and in, and the only way you're going to get it out of there is to pull it foul. It's very difficult to keep that ball fair. Only a few hitters can do that. You have to be able to pull through with your top front hand, rather than hitting it with your top hand. You hit it with your top hand, it's going to hook.
That one high in the air to left field, but it will stay in the ballpark. Out by Yanni at the edge of the warning track, and the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down for the Giants. We move on to the 3rd inning now. Derek Bell coming up. 1-0 San Francisco. Giants 1, Mets nothing. We go to the top of the 3rd from Pacific Bell Park in San Francisco. And for the Mets, the last third of the batting order up against Livan Hernandez. Derek Bell, Mike Bordick, Mike Hampton. Livan back in 1997 beat Atlanta in the league championship series twice in the same weekend, once out of the bullpen and once as a starter. 15 strikeouts in the start and won the MVP of that. Then had 2 wins against Cleveland in the World Series. Strike call right on the outside edge of the knees. 0-1 to Bell, and won the MVP of that series as well. And Livan became one of the 4th player in history to win both of those awards in the same season. Marvin Bernard, the ball hit real well by Derek Bell, but Bernard able to catch up to it. There is 1 away.
And just notice how Livan is able to keep people pretty much in the middle of the diamond. And I think that's why he's so successful here. And one thing about Livan, he will make some great pitches. I mean, he will throw a few balls just knee high and away, as the first pitch there to Bell was. And then he will make some mistakes. And that's why his earned run average is a little higher than it probably should be with the stuff that he has.
Mike Bordick had a fine year starting out with Baltimore, being traded to the Mets after Ray Ordonez, their regular shortstop, went down with an injury. And Bordick did not hit as well as a Met as he had for the Orioles. Now that sharp curveball got called a ball.
And that's a real sharp curveball. That's what I'm saying. He throws a rolling curveball every once in a while that he's just trying to get the outside corner with. That was awfully sharp.
And the count now 1-2. Bordick hit only .260 for the Mets with 4 homers, so most of his home runs this year were hit as an Oriole. Sure-handed shortstop, knows what he's doing. 1-2 the count. Fastball on the outside. He just kind of waved at it, fighting it off. And a fan on the second deck who brought his glove made the catch on that. Here he is. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Bordick. 1 out, nobody on. Mike Hampton, the pitcher, is on deck. Ever to have won the MVP in the league championship series and the World Series the same year. Willie Stargell, Darrell Porter, and Orel Hershiser. Orel did it back in 1988. And that changeup in the dirt. 3-2 now.
I'm not surprised that pitchers would win it. I'm a little surprised that hitters win it, and I'll tell you why. Usually, if you have a great league championship series, they will not pitch to you in the World Series. They are very careful with you.
So Willie Stargell must have done it in '79.
Yes, that was '79.
3-2 the count. And a base hit to right field. The Mets' first hit of the game. Quite an at-bat there by Bordick. And he prevails. More division series coverage coming up tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central on ESPN. It's the Atlanta Braves and St. Louis Cardinals game 2. Glavine and Kyle, both 20-game winners. Then at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, it'll be the Mets and Giants game 2 on the Fox network tomorrow night. So more baseball tomorrow. And of course Atlanta will be in dire straits if Glavine does not win for them tomorrow. Although they will be going home to Turner Field where they played real well. But in the best of 5, you have no margin for error. You go home 2 games to none down. Here's Hampton, one of the best hitting pitchers in the game. And he shows it right there over the head of Kent. Base hit. Well, I wonder if Livan was just assuming that a bunt was coming up. Hampton hit .274 in the regular season. In fact, the 2 pitchers are the 2 best hitting pitchers in the National League.
Well, he throws a fastball. It's not a bad pitch. It's a fastball away. And it's about bell tie, so it's not up in a way. It's just away, and Kent can't catch up with it.
So he didn't just groove it.
No, he definitely didn't. He threw it right over the outside corner.
So 2 men on for the Mets now. They've got a threat going, and the top of the order comes up. Agbayani. And a slider low and outside for ball 1. Later on tonight, across the bay from here, in fact, we can see the Oakland Coliseum from our perch here at Pacific Bell Park. At the Coliseum tonight, the Mets and Yankees game 2, and the Yankees in that same dire strait. There's the Coliseum. Across the bay. And you see the what they call Mount Davis, that upper deck area in what is center field for baseball. The place I guess was rocking last night, Joe, huh?
Yes, it was. It was a great crowd. It was a great ball game.
2-1 now to Agbayani. He struck out his first time.
Well, you can see that Livan wants to throw him a lot of breaking balls and make him hit a breaking ball, but now the count's 2-1. And he's throwing 3 straight breaking balls. Will he come with a fastball? I would say he still has to stay with the breaking ball if that's what he figures he's able to get him out with.
He went to the slider but missed low.
And anytime you have a hitter that you think you can get him out with a breaking ball, even 2-1, I think you have to throw it again. But now 3-1, you're in danger of walking him, so I think you have to make a good pitch with your fastball. And by that I mean stay out of the middle of the plate.
Jay Payton on deck. Bordick at second, Hampton at first. And a fastball with some movement fouled into the second deck.
And you see Livan calling Estelea out, and I think he wants to talk about this next pitch, whether he wants to go with the breaking ball or not. They definitely want to get him out with the breaking ball, but with the count 3-2, if he misses with it, you got the bases loaded with 1 out. So those are the things you have to think about. What if I miss with it?
Estelea was the catcher almost invariably whenever Livan Hernandez pitched this year. They seem to have a good rapport. Estelea, who has Cuban extraction, Cuban ancestry, and also speaks fluent Spanish. They've been very well together. 2 men on. There they go. And he hung one, a high foul fly off the right field side. Snow goes down the line after, but it's in amongst the spectators, out of play.
Well, you see Bobby Valentine trying to make something happen here. He puts the runners in motion and hopes that if Agbayani puts it in play, he will open up a hole for him.
Valentine could have played the left-handed batting veteran Darrell Hamilton today in the outfield, but opted for Agbayani. This is Agbayani's one of our best hitters. There go the runners again. And the walk. The slider misses. And the bases are loaded, so Livan has got all kinds of trouble now, and the Mets had the big guys coming up.
Well, that's the danger you have if you want to throw the breaking ball 3-2. If you have a lot of control, of course, you throw the breaking ball. And I think he also went to the breaking ball because he felt like it was more of a hit and run, and Agbayani might chase it even if it wasn't in the strike zone. but Agbayani did a good job of not swinging at that breaking ball. A lot of times when you have runners in motion, the hitter automatically will swing with 2 strikes.
You see the runners boarding, Hampton and Agbayani. Payton is the hitter. A slider for a strike. It's 0-1.
Well, they're playing the infield back for a double play, which is the proper thing to do. But it's not easy to double up Payton because he has a lot of speed unless he hits it hard up the middle toward the second base bag. But he has not done very well with the bases loaded.
That slider down and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Livan did not induce many double play grounders. In fact, in his last 10 starts of the year, there was only 1 double play ground ball while he was on the mound. Giants have the infield in double play depth. After Payton, it's Alfonso, then Piazza, then Ventura. Giants lead 1-0, but the Mets with a great opportunity. 3 men on, 1 man out. Payton backs away now. Hernandez is ready. And he went with a fastball, and Payton laid on it, fouling it down the right field line. Out of play, 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Right. Struck him out the first time, and he's been laboring in this inning. What do you think, Joe?
Well, if he's actually, he's going for the strikeout, so I think he probably needs to go with the high fastball, but he's going to decide which pitch he feels best with out there. Try to get him to chase something up and out of the strike zone.
He hung that one. Plenty deep enough to get a run home, but Arndt out there in that vast open area in right center. Tagging and scoring is Bordick. Hampton also tagged up. He went to third. Agbayani went halfway, so he holds it first. And Payton gets the sacrifice fly. And it is 1-1.
That's a good job by Payton to be able to get that ball in the air. But that was that rolling curveball, not the good sharp one. He hasn't thrown a good sharp one this inning. That's why I felt maybe the high fastball might have been the best. See, that ball doesn't do much of anything. And Payton does a good job of getting it in the air.
So again, he might have gotten away with one there.
Well, he did. I mean, he's gotten away with 3 hangers in 3 innings now. But he's also made some good pitches.
Edgardo Alfonso. And the breaking ball outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Alfonso grounded to short his first time.
This is not the guy you can hang a breaking ball with and get away with. You better make sure you get the breaking ball down. You have a better chance if you're going to miss with the fastball up.
Another slider, and he misses. Well, he has an open base with nobody at second base right now, but Mike Piazza, the Mets' great slugger, one of the greatest in the game, is on deck.
It seems he's lost a little confidence in his fastball. Another breaking ball.
Popped up. Jeff Kent out. And that ends the inning. Living dangerously. 1 run for the Mets to tie the game. It'll be Livan Hernandez coming up when we return. There's the San Francisco portion of the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge, and in the foreground, the South Beach Marina, which is right outside Pacific Bell Park. You see off in the background the East Bay, Berkeley, Oakland, in that vicinity. And just a spectacular place just to be outdoors here in San Francisco, much less to also see top-notch Major League Baseball. And today we're seeing baseball at its best. 2 top clubs. And as Livan Hernandez called it before the game, Joe, baseball de sangre. Blood baseball. Baseball to the death. And that's the way they looked at it in Cuba. And that's the way it is in these series. Best of 5. I mean, it's tough to overcome mistakes when you've got so little margin for error. Here is Mike Hampton now. Livan Hernandez coming up against him. Now, Hampton singled against Livan. Hampton, a great hitting pitcher. Livan at .236 for the year with a homer, 3 doubles, and 9 runs batted in. Roughing the bunt, taking a called strike. That brought Ventura in from third base a little bit. He's playing deep for Livan. Livan did not have the most speed in the world. It'd have to be an incredible bunt. Over to second base. Alfonso. Plenty of time. Livan stops halfway up the line, and there is one away. I think if he had bunted the ball, he would have run faster. And there's Jackie Lopez, the son of the Giants bullpen coach Juan Lopez, acting as one of the bat boys for the Giants today. Barry Bonds' son, and Nikolai Bonds, also a bat boy. There's Nikolai on the left. And that is Christopher Burks, Ellisburg's young son, number 23.
Must be pretty good to be able to sit on a major league bench with your dad.
A day at the office with Dad. That's too high. Dusty Baker said that one day one of the players got mad and was swearing. And Christopher Burks looks at him and says, you know, if you do that again, I'm going to have to go tell my boss that I have to quit. I can't be around language like that. That's in there for a strike to Bernard. Bernard called out on strikes his first time. Never actually swung at a pitch. Giants beat Randy Johnson on Sunday in Arizona. They beat Brian Anderson Friday in Arizona. And as you mentioned, Joe, they did win 6 of their last 7 against the lefties. That's a foul. 1-2. And not many teams do well against left-handers anyway. I think only 8 or 9 teams in all of Major League Baseball had a winning record when lefties started against them. But Bobby Valentine said that's not why Hampton and Leiter are going in these first 2 games for the Mets. He said they're going for obvious reasons, which is basically they're his 2 best pitchers. Bernard, slow chop up the first base side, and Hampton will get the tag out himself. Out number 2. Our colleague Alvaro Martin is down by the dugout. Alvaro.
Well, you were speaking of Christopher Burks, number 23, the son of Ellisburg's. He's actually in school right now, so he must be taking a bit of a break. When he had to go back to school in Colorado, his dad called home after the game, the first game he was not there. And instead of asking his dad how he did, he wanted to know how a replacement had done.
The replacement bat boy?
Yes.
I'm sure he was second rate. Not that good, son. A day at the office with Dad. 2 down. Here's Bill Miller. Miller ripped a double past third down the left field line and eventually scored the Giants run in the first inning. Earlier today, the White Sox were defeated by the Mariners again in the game seen here on ESPN. Mariners lead that American League Division Series now 2-0, and they are going to Seattle. Up and away, and that Seattle bullpen. And I know that was an area for Pat Gillick to try and improve that club. That Seattle bullpen has for years been terrible. And apparently he succeeded, Joe. Not only did they get to the postseason, but they pitched 10 shutout innings in 2 days in Chicago against one of the great offensive clubs in either league.
Yeah, I think the White Sox are maybe the best hitting team overall. Not so much with power, but they're just a group of good young hitters.
Barry Bonds would be next. 2 down, nobody on. Hampton going to a 2-ball count for the first time in this game. 2-1 to Miller. Up the middle, and Miller keeps it alive. Bordick made a dive, couldn't get to it. And so Miller, with his second straight hit, keeps the inning going, and Barry Bonds will get a shot at it. Single to center his first time, and there's a pretty good gathering out there in McCovey Cove. Nautical craft of all types, even surfboards, just in case Barry takes one into the cove. And he got jammed on it, bounces it into the Mets dugout on the first base side. 0-1 to Bonds.
Well, you can see the pattern that Hampton has with Barry. The first time up, first pitch, fastball up and in, he fouled it away. The next pitch was a fastball, he didn't get it in, and Barry hit a line drive into center field for a base hit. Now he comes right back inside. I don't think he'll throw him breaking balls unless he gets 2 strikes on him.
He threw him for a cutter.
Yeah, that was a cut fastball. I think he wants to save the curveball to be his out pitch or his strikeout pitch if he can get 2 strikes on Barry. But there's no doubt that he thinks that he can get the fastball in.
Bonds has had 2 homers in 33 career at-bats against Hampton. Very high with the fastball. 2-1. And one thing the Giants felt was important against Hampton was to not be too over anxious to try and make him throw some pitches, and they've not really been able to do that so far. This is only the second time he's even gone to 2 balls on a hitter. Lunges for it. That cutter away and fouls that one into the seats, and it is 2-2. Bonds used to be one of the best left-handed hitters against left-handers, but this year he really struggled against lefties. Probably his worst year all told against lefties.
And one of the reasons he had problems was the fastball in.
Just off the outside, and Hampton started off the mound of the dugout.
Hampton obviously displeased with that call, but he does a good job of keeping his composure. Don't watch the pitch, watch Hampton. Just watch his reaction here. And he doesn't want to say anything, and he doesn't want to upset the umpire, so he does a good job of keeping within himself.
3-2 now. Miller at first. Zeal plays behind him. There goes Miller. That's a fair ball. It hits the railing, and the right fielder, Bell, is hurt. Miller scores. Bonds will go to third. A triple. 2-1 Giants, and Bell is down in right field. The question was going to be Derek Bell playing that carom and keeping Miller from scoring. Instead, he slipped, he fell, he hurt himself. Miller scored easily. Bonds made it to third.
Well, Barry Bonds, who has struggled in the playoffs in the past, is making a good impression so far, and I think the reason is that he's more mature now than he was those early years. Another reason, those early years he was facing Livan and Avery and the great Atlanta Braves pitching staff. Now watch, he tries to get inside again, and Barry turns on it and pulls it fair down the line. And when the ball hits the stands, it caroms right back straight across. And Bell tried to stop, and when he stopped, he pulled something, or now watch, he'll try to stop right there. He slips, actually. He slipped, and he may have twisted his knee, and he hobbles after the ball, and then he throws it back in. But I think Barry knew that Hampton was going to try to come inside. He's going to try to come inside, and he was ready for the fastball, and he turned on it.
Well, it's good to see him on his feet. Fred Hina, the Mets head trainer, out there with him, along with manager Bobby Valentine. Looks like he's telling him he wants to continue. Joe, what do you think? Darrell Hamilton getting ready just in case in the Mets dugout. Well, he's going to give it a go out there, so hopefully he's okay.
Well, maybe it's more like a cramp. Maybe it was more like a cramp than anything else, and maybe they were able to rub it out.
Well, that bit of the box seat railing comes all the way out near the foul line there. And Bell was chasing after it, not knowing if it would hit that railing or if it would shoot on by and into the corner. And then he was going to have to reverse his field after it ricocheted off the wall. That's when he put the brakes on. And that's when he hurt himself. So Bonds with the triple. The Giants lead 2-1. And Bonds is 2 for 2 in the first game of this postseason. Jeff Kent drove in a run with a ground ball his first time. That's low on the outside. Hampton had retired 7 straight hitters since Bonds singled in the first inning, but then Miller got a 2-out single. Bonds has tripled him home. 2-0 to Kent. Now you might say, well, hey, you could do a lot worse than pitching around Jeff Kent with the kind of year he's had. The problem is Ellis Burks is on deck.
And Ellis Burks is probably a much better hitter against left-handed pitching than anyone else. And I'm not just talking about average-wise, just his approach to left-handed pitching.
3-0 to Kent.
And there's no doubt that he'll be swinging if he likes the pitch. And Hampton has to be aware of that.
He walked it. Two on, two out. 2-1 Giants in the third, and the batter will be Ellis Burks. The Giants scored 925 runs this year, and this was the highest scoring Giants team since 1930. The second highest scoring Giants team in the 118-year history of the Giants. And Burks had the best batting average of the team at .344. He hit .360 against the lefties.
And John, I mentioned earlier that they had a phenomenal record with him in the lineup. They were 73 and 37 in games that he started. And now I think Derek Bell's going to have to come off in right field. He's hurting out there, and he's probably not going to be able to chase down a fly ball or chase down the ball, and that could hurt his ball club. So I think this is a wise move, for Derek, because you do not want to be out there and hurt the rest of your teammates by not being able to chase down a routine fly ball.
Alvaro Martinez down by the Mets dugout. Alvaro.
Yes, John. Derek Bell's limping out of the field. He had hurt that knee, or at least the right leg, in the last series against Atlanta on a final out in which he actually had to be subbed out of the game. He was trying to work his knee into shape in the last couple of outs, but to no avail. Fredina's walking off with him. I believe he's out of the game.
Yeah, he's out.
Well, that's interesting, John. We talked to Bobby Valentine before the game, the two of us, and we asked him about Bell, and he said he was okay.
Of course, we said, how's Piazza? He says, oh, never better. We said,
yeah, we were both worried, concerned about Derek Bell because we saw him hurt his knee in the game that we did there.
And he made an incredible catch and
came out of the game that night, but he said he was okay.
We asked Valentine how Ventura was. He said, oh, fantastic. Al Leiter there alongside his manager in the Mets dugout. Piazza drops the sign. Here is Ellis Burks.
And that got a piece of Mike Piazza, and that's one of the reasons that catchers do not hit as well at the end of the season as they do at the beginning of the season. They have so many bumps and bruises, foul tips, and Mike has a bad back. He gets hit off with foul tips. I mean, it's just a tough job.
I mean, it was a sad sight by the end of that league championship series last year, seeing Piazza was just a shell of his former self.
And I mean, this is a guy that may be the best hitting catcher ever. I mean, if you look at the numbers he has put up in his career, you'd say that no one was a better hitter than he has been in his career.
Piazza will be leading it off in the next inning for the Mets. But right now, he's trying to devise a way for Mike Hampton to get Ellis Burks out here with 2 men on, 2 men out. That one is gone if it's fair. Down the line. It is off the foul pole. A 3-run homer for Burks, and it's 5-1 Giants.
Left-handed pitchers than anyone else on the ball club is because he takes the ball away from him and goes the other way. You can't get in on him. They try to get in here, and he just hits it out of the ballpark. He handles the inside pitch very well, and he handles the pitch away very well when it comes from a left-handed pitcher. And that's why he's the best hitter against left-handed pitching on this ball club.
Well, they are still on their feet at Pacific Bell Park. Ellis Burks electrifying the home crowd with a booming home run down the line. It was just a question of fair or foul, and then it hit the foul pole.
Being honest with you, Johnny, hit it so hard it didn't have time to hook foul. I mean, it was hooking, but it got there in a hurry.
That's the first postseason home run for Ellis Burks since Game 5 of the American League Championship Series in 1993 against the Blue Jays when he was with the Chicago White Sox. Burks made it into postseason play twice with the Boston Red Sox in 1988 and 90. And of course, those were ultimately disappointing times for the Red Sox as they were against that great Oakland ball club and went to the World Series both years. Aurelia is quickly gone on strikes, but the Giants, who had 2 men on and nobody on, end up with 4 runs, 3 of them on the Burks homer. Now the Mets have to play catch-up. Piazza coming up when we come back. Well, Mike Hampton, who is on a roll seemingly, and I wonder, Joe, if those breaks perhaps affected his rhythm, his flow.
Yeah, well, he could. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He was definitely in rhythm. He was throwing the ball well. I just think that there were a couple of pitches there that I think Barry Bonds was looking for the fastball in. He got it in and he pulled it down the line. And you cannot pitch Burks inside if you're a left-handed pitcher.
Mike Piazza. Chase went down out of the strike zone, deep into center. Marvin Bernard, and there is one away. Piazza's only seen about 3 pitches so far in this game and has hit 2 high fly balls, one a pop-up, this one to center. And for over 13 years, the MetLife Blimps have been providing aerial television coverage of sporting and special events. Today, Snoopy 2 brings you the aerial shots of the Mets-Giants matchup. Check it out as the MetLife Blimp visits a town near you. There is Robin Ventura taking a called strike. Well, one thing we saw last October, Joe, never sell the Mets short.
Exactly. I don't.
Ventura popping it up. Aurelia fighting that real tough sun and the wind. There's nothing about this ballpark that's anything at all like Candlestick Park except
the wind.
When there's a ball hit in the air, although almost anywhere in the seating ball here you don't feel any wind at all because of the way they constructed the ballpark. But when there's a ball hit high in the air, it gets up into that wind and it gets blown about.
John, we're talking about, Mike Hampton and how well he was pitching. One of the things to remember is if anything that happens in the playoff is magnified. If you make a mistake, it seems to cost you 2 or 3 runs. And that's because the intensity level of both teams is so high. And any mistake that's made is magnified by that. I mean, anyone that tells you that the playoffs is just like a regular season game, they've never won anything. Because you have to turn up the intensity in order to win in the playoffs.
1 ball, 1 strike now to Zeal. 5-1. San Francisco out in front. Right there in the outside edge. 1-2, and Zeal didn't think so. Last year the Mets were down to Atlanta 3-0 in a best-of-7. They came back and won Game 4 3-2. They won Game 5 4-3. That's into the alleyway, left center field. Bonds giving chase, but this one's going to go to the wall. Bonds plays the carom, and Zeal will make it into second with a stand-up double.
Well, that's one breaking ball he didn't get away with. That was a hanger that was right out over the plate, and Zeal ripped it up the gap for a base hit. And watch, there's a breaking ball, and it just stays right there. It doesn't do him much. He had a very sharp breaking ball the first 2 innings, but since that time, his breaking ball is rolling a little bit more. It's not nearly as sharp as it was earlier.
Now here is Darrell Hamilton rather than Derek Bell. Hamilton, who helped the Giants win a division title in 1997. That one called a ball. Escalera and Livan seemed to think it was in there.
Well, Escalera caught it and thought it was strike 1, but it was called low. Hamilton, who's got problems with his big toe, actually had surgery on that.
during the season. He played in 43 games and had 105 at bats. 276 average. Longtime big leaguer. Faced Derek Bell here. Bell had to leave the game. An apparent injury to his knee. And Livan missed badly with that one. 3-0 the count.
John, this is a different Livan Hernandez than pitched the first 2 innings. Once the base hits, he gave up 2 base hits. One to Bordick and one to Hampton on fastballs. He has not really thrown his fastball since. He has thrown a lot of breaking balls and sliders and missed with them. He has not thrown the good fastball, the one with all the pop on it, since that time. He's been trying to get guys out with more with breaking balls than anything else. And he has a good fastball. I mean, his high fastball is an excellent pitch, and he's gone away from it after the second inning.
Now he takes time out, walks back. It's going to make Hamilton wait here. He untied his shoes so he gets tired.
That's an old George Foster move.
George Foster, I mean, if he wanted to cool off a pitch.
Yeah, he just step out, untie his shoe, and tie him again.
And who taught him that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It irritated most of us.
Bonds backpedaling in that one. And that ends the inning. So tying the shoelace apparently was the key for Livan Hernandez. 5-1 Giants.
ESPN's presentation of the Divisional Series is brought to you by new high-endurance Red Zone Intense Antiperspirant for intense people, and by Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
We're in San Francisco, game 1 of this best of 5, the Giants and the Mets, who had a heated rivalry during the regular season. And the Giants are out in front here 5-1 as JT Snow leads off in the 4th inning against Mike Hampton.
You're interesting, Johnny, what you said about the Mets and the Giants. When the Giants beat the Mets and swept them here, the Mets said, wait till we get them in our place. And that rivalry kind of started that way. And the Mets won the first 3 games there and was saying, we were paying you back, but the Giants were able to salvage the final game of that series.
And the Mets won those 3 games at Shea in mid-August with 3 left-handers.
3 left.
Snow into left field. Akbayani makes the Willie Mays basket catch.
But when we talked to Bobby before the game today, he said that he wasn't going to use the 3 left-handers. He was going to use Hampton, Leiter, and then Reed instead of Rush, who pitched one of those games in New York.
Glendon Rush pitched the first game of that series back in August. The Mets won that one 4-1. And then Hampton beat Sean Estes 3-2. And Al Leiter beat Livan Hernandez 2-0. That game, the Mets did not score against Livan until the 8th inning. And Robin Ventura had a big double to drive in the first run in that game in the 8th. Estelea, the hitter, flied out deep to left his first time. And a bouncer foul on the third base side. 0-2 the count. The Giants only win in that series in New York back in August against the right-hander, Rick Reed. The Giants just stumbled around most of the first half of this year. They were 38-38 to the end of June. And then they went 54-22 for the night where they clinched the division title. Bordick throws out Estelea. So 2 men are gone, and the batter will be Livan Hernandez. So for the Giants, there really were 2 seasons in one. And they were the hottest team in the National League in all of baseball the second half of the year.
But when I talked to Dust at the beginning of the season, he felt that he was going to have a great starting staff, and it just took them a while to get everything going. And down the stretch, that was the reason. I mean, they pitched so well the second half of the season is the reason that they were, did have the best record as far as home field was concerned.
Now, the only team that equaled the Giants' home record was the Mets. So winning at home seems to be awfully important to the Giants. And keeping them from taking full advantage of that is an absolute necessity for the Mets, because the Giants will get the odd game. If it goes 5 games, they'll get that 5th game right back here.
Well, I think the 4 teams in the National League are so evenly matched that the home field will make a big difference. I mean, the Braves and the Cardinals and the Giants and the Mets are all very evenly matched.
Off the fists to Alfonso, and he throws out Hernandez. 3 up, 3 down. Now we're going to the 5th inning. 5-1. The Giants lead the Mets. Mike Bordick coming up, then Hampton. We'll be right back. Top of the 5th inning. It is 5-1. The Giants leading the Mets as the Mets come up here with Mike Bordick, Mike Hampton, and Benny Agbayani against Livan Hernandez on a beautiful, sunshiny, blue sky day here in San Francisco.
Let's take a look at the 3rd inning when Hampton got in trouble. And watch his reaction after this pitch to Bonds. He thought that he had struck him out. Bonds ends up taking that inside fastball for a triple, and then Burks finishes off the scoring there with a long 3-run homer. And I think, a lot of times when you're a pitcher and you're on the mound, you get frustrated with some of the umpires' calls, and you do not do it obviously intentionally, but sometimes you lose your focus, you lose your concentration, and you pay for it. And I definitely believe that all the things that happened in that inning worked against Mike Hampton.
After the Bonds triple, Derek Bell had injured himself chasing the triple as that high curveball misses to Mike Bordick. Bordick singled to right his first time and scored the Mets run in the 3rd inning. Hampton on deck. But there was a long delay as they went out to see if Bell was going to be able to continue. Finally he was, and then when the game resumed, he proceeded to walk Jeff Kent on 4 pitches, his only walk of the day. So he was upset about a call. The next pitch, triple, then a long delay. The next 4 pitches all out of the strike zone. And then there was another delay as Bell left the game. He limped off the field, and Hamilton went in, after which Burks slammed a home run. By the way, we understand the story on Derek Bell is that he's perhaps sprained his right ankle. He's being taken for x-rays. That's ball 4 to Bordick. So a leadoff walk here to Bordick, the 8th place hitter. And it's always troublesome for a pitcher to continually get in trouble at the bottom of the batting order.
Well, again, he starts Bordick off with a breaking ball. He misses with a breaking ball, and then he tries to spot the fastball. I just don't think that he's as confident in his fastball as he was at the beginning of the game. He's not. He should be trying to get first pitch strikes. He has a 4-run lead. You definitely do not want to walk people at the bottom of the order with a 4-run lead. First pitch to Bordick of this inning after sitting over there should have been a fastball.
Especially with a 4-run
lead. I mean, if you're a tie score, Bordick capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark, okay. But when you have a 4-run lead, it takes 4 solo homers to tie. And he even starts Hampton off with a breaking ball. And again, both of these guys got base hits on fastballs, and since that time, he has not wanted to throw his fastball at the beginning of the count.
That is a fastball right where he wanted it on the outside. You saw Dave Righetti there a moment ago, the former Yankee, and now the Giants pitching coach, under whom Livan Hernandez had his best year as a big leaguer this year.
But even that pitch there, John, it was a strike, but it was knee high and away. He's throwing it, aiming that pitch, not just throwing it. In the first 2 innings, his fastball was live. It was hopping because he was using it. And now he's trying to spot it. He's throwing it, like a dart, trying to hit knee high and away or right on the outside edge. He's got a good enough fastball. He can get it over the plate with his movement. He can still be successful.
Back with the breaking ball, 1-2 now to Hampton. Last year hit .311 with the Houston Astros. So he's always been an outstanding hitter, used as a pinch hitter on occasion. Pops it up foul third base side, coming over Miller. This one lands in the seats. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Hampton. Bordick getting a leadoff walk in this inning. He's the first hitter on either team to lead off an inning and reach base. Snow on the bag with Bordick at first. You see Livan Hernandez and Mike Hampton are the most hits among pitchers. And back with the slider for the strikeout. Now coming up on ESPN after the ballgame, Sports Center, a complete review of this game and also the White Sox-Mariner game. Then at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight, 5 o'clock Pacific, on the Fox network. The New York Yankees with Andy Pettitte. Huge game for the Yankees, especially just to really stay alive in that series against the Athletics. Kevin Appiah, the veteran for Oakland. And 11 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, 8 Pacific, SportsCenter at midnight Eastern on ESPN. Baseball tonight. Benny Agbayani fouls one back out of play. Agbayani, the leadoff man, has struck out and walked.
And that's what I'm talking about. That was a good fastball. That was a live fastball. He wasn't trying to throw it knee high and away. He was throwing a good fastball away from Agbayani, and he couldn't catch up with it. I think you have to use your fastball. I mean, it's okay to throw the breaking ball and get people out, but you have to use your fastball.
Toward the middle and through, base hit. Bordick to second, holding. So Agbayani reaches for the second time. The Mets with a 2-out opportunity now as Jay Payton comes up. A 1-out opportunity, I beg your pardon. What am I looking at? Which game am I covering? You know, last year, Joe, the Mets leadoff man most of the year was Ricky Henderson, and when it wasn't Ricky, often it was Roger Cedeno.
Correct.
And they stole a lot of bases.
They put a lot of pressure on the defense.
And the Mets really don't have that kind of an offense this year.
I don't think they're as good offensively as they were last year. I don't think they're as good a team this year as they were last year.
Last year, Cedeno himself stole 66 bases. The Mets this year, the whole team stole exactly 66 bases. And Ricky Henderson, I mean, he's not here anymore because he didn't want to be here. I mean, he basically made them trade him. There's a slider, and Payton with a big rip didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Alfonso on deck.
I think Ricky said he needed a little more cash to be happy there.
So now, I guess he's either happy or still in search of happiness in Seattle. Steve Phillips, the Mets general manager, here today, accommodated Ricky, sending him off to Seattle. Accommodated Bobby Bonilla, sent him off to Atlanta. Or just sent him off.
Ricky actually stole a big base in that game today. I saw him steal third base and score on a ground out. He singled. No, he walked, stole second, stole third, and
he stole second and third?
Yeah, and I think so. And then he scored a run on Alex Rodriguez ground ball.
And then did he get involved in a card game after? It was one of the infamous stories that came out of the final game of that series last year with Atlanta and the Mets. At least the way they told the story, that the Mets came in after this hard-fought battle and a hard-fought emotional series, and they came in and said that there was Bobby Bonilla and Ricky Henderson playing cards in the clubhouse. Anyway, that was last year. And the Mets,
well, both of them are in the playoffs, and so are the Mets. So everyone's happy.
3-1 on the count, and a foul back out of play. We're talking about the Mets being down 5-1 right now, Joe. The last postseason game the Mets played last year, Game 6 of that League Championship Series at Atlanta. Going into the 6th inning, the score of that game was Atlanta 5, Mets nothing. Kevin Millwood on the mound. And then the Mets made an incredible comeback, scoring 3 in the 6th and 4 in the 7th in that game. So we've seen what the Mets can do when they're up against the wall. Game 1, they're down 5-1. They have 2 men on, 1 man out, 3-2 the count. The runners aren't going. And Payton pops it up. Shallow right center. Burt's coming in. And the runners have to go back.
Well, you've seen Bobby Valentine do this twice now, put the runners in motion. It's more difficult to hit and run with runners at first and second than it is on first base, because you hit a line drive, you know, the inning's automatically over anyway. But a lot of times when you just have a runner at first, you know which hole is going to be open for the hitter to try to hit it through. And you're not sure exactly who's going to cover or if they're going to cover if you run from first and second. Most times the second baseman or the shortstop will not move. They'll just try to get the guy at third.
So is the primary point with first and second just to try and stay out of double play? Here is Edgardo Alfonso. The Mets in need of a clutch hit here. And Alfonso down the left field line. That's foul. And again, Livan.
You can't hang a breaking ball to this
bad pitch.
Well, you just can't. I mean, he's a good breaking. He hits the breaking ball very well, and especially if you hang it. And again, a lot of times he hits this ball out of the ballpark. See, that's really just a hanging breaking ball. It's not his sharp curveball. I know he wants to use this breaking ball. He doesn't want to throw a lot of fastballs to these good hitters, but I think you have to mix in a fastball, whether it's in off the plate or something. You have to show him the fastball speed.
The Mets, 3, 4, 5 hitters have gone 0 for thus far today.
There's the one I like. Just throw the fastball. Just use it. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have a good fastball. If you do not have a good fastball, then you don't throw it that much. But he has a good fastball.
Bordick at second. Agbayani at first. 2 down. Mike Piazza would be next. Back to the fastball. Missed with it up and away. 1-2.
And that's fine, too, because that shows him 2 fastballs in a row, shows him a different speed. And that last one was 88 miles an hour. Now if he wants to throw him a slider, he wants to do something else, he helps himself by setting it up with a good fastball.
Not too close to take, Benny decided, or rather Edgardo decided. And he fouls it out of play. Benny's over at first. Agbayani at first. Bordick at second. Edgardo Alfonso, who's become one of the top players in this league. And when you talk to guys like Dusty Baker or almost any manager in the league about their favorite players on other teams, Alfonso is always one of the first names that comes up.
Well, I tell you, Dallas Green's the first guy that told me about Edgardo, and this was before everyone even knew who he was. He said, this guy's going to be a special player because he knows how to play.
1-2. Slider. Shallow center. And Bernard has to go back, and he makes the catch. He stopped, he raced in, he stopped, he went back, and he caught it somehow. Still 5-1 Giants. Top of the order with the Giants, last of the 5th inning. We're in San Francisco. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan.
Here's Marvin Bernard. You described it pretty well, John. He comes in, he goes back, he comes in, he goes back. But he still makes the catch, and Livan says...
Ay, caramba. Marvin Bernard.
That's probably what Greg Maddux wanted to do yesterday when Andrew Jones didn't catch that fly ball in the first inning.
Well, I mean, that was unbelievable. Well, Andrew Jones, I mean, he's the best out there, and he doesn't catch the ball. I mean, that was a horrible inning.
That was a real ugly inning. It really was.
I mean, that would have been one of those things where you might have said, well, sometimes those first game jitters will get a team that's never been there before. Well, nobody's been there more often than the Braves.
Correct.
Mike Hampton, he's been here too. This is his 4th straight year in postseason play, but he has yet to win a postseason game. In 3 previous experiences with the Houston Astros. High in the air into left field. Bordick out. Agbayani in. Bordick. Nice play by Bordick. And there is one away. Bernard now 0 for 3. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions, such as they are, may not be disseminated without express written consent. And go to MajorLeagueBaseball.com for the most complete baseball coverage on the internet. You want to know something about these series? Check it out at MajorLeagueBaseball.com.
And that little area you saw kids playing baseball is right near the Coke bottle in left field. And the kids can go out and play a simulated game right there.
Well, they don't feel it's simulated, Joe. Well, they're playing real wiffle ball out there.
It's right over the stands there in left field.
He said during batting practice when the Cubs were in town, Sammy Sosa hit one up in there. Pop fly. Alfonso. And Bill Miller is retired for the first time. He has been a real pain to the Mets. A double and a single, and has scored 2 runs. Now Bonds.
Well, Barry Bonds came in hitting 280 at bats. He has hit a single to center field. Watch where both of these pitches are. He's trying to get in on Barry with the fastball 2 times. And one time he hit a single to center, and the other time he hits a triple down the right field line. So Barry's also aware of how Hampton is pitching him, and we'll see how Hampton changes this at bat and see if he goes differently. Yes, he is already. He's going to, well, it was supposed to be a fastball away, but it was in again and up. Watch Mike Piazza, and you can see exactly how they're going to pitch him. They have not had a lot of success with the fastball in.
1-1 to Bonds. Sharply right to Alfonso. And the inning is over. So a 3-up, 3-down inning. Since the Burks homer, Hampton has retired 7 in a row. Piazza coming up when we come back. 5-1 Giants. Giants 5, Mets 1, top of the 6th inning. Mike Piazza will lead it off here for New York. Now, one way to limit the damage that Piazza could possibly do is to face him with the bases empty. And this is the third Piazza at bat and the third time that he has led off the inning. So he has not yet come to bat with anybody on base. Piazza has popped to short and flied to center. 2-0. Robin Ventura and Todd Zeile will follow. There's a lot of feeling that Piazza was just not right most of September.
But his back was bothering him. I mean, he's had a lot of nagging injuries over the year, which is normal for a catcher. But his back was bothering him, and he just wasn't getting the same swings. And it's really a shame because he has hit so well at the beginning of the season, the first half.
Well, they asked him how he was yesterday, and he said, my body actually looks like an old banana, but it's fine. He says, we've got some war wounds. 3-2 now.
Well, that's one of those pitches that the pitchers want. And Livan wants this pitch. This is kind of like the pitch that Barry Bonds and Hampton wanted. And you know what? Not a bad pitch, but the pitchers all want that pitch.
Well, we know what happened to Hampton when he did not get that call to Bonds. Piazza in the air, right center. Burks going back. That's out toward Death Valley here. 421 feet to that point out there, that angular area.
Now, that was a good pitch there from Hernandez. That was a slider, John, a hard slider. And I think the hard slider is more important against a right-handed hitter like Piazza than the curveball, because he has to make up his mind very quickly. And therefore, that's a slider or cut fastball that moves away. And he can't decide whether it's a break, wait and decide whether it's in the strike zone or not. He had to go after it, and that was a good pitch.
Robin Ventura into the hole. Aurelia from shallow left field. The long throw right there. Nice play.
John, one of the things that I have seen over the last couple of years is it just seems that the shortstops are making plays deeper and deeper in the hole because they have such strong arms. I've seen Garcia Parra go 10 feet on the outfield grass and throw someone out. Here we see Aurelia going deep. Look how deep he is and turns and fires and throws a left-handed hitter out. I mean, you didn't see shortstops make plays from that deep in the hole until the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, a lot of times you see one a year, but now you see it on a consistent basis.
Now, you mean other than Ozzie?
Yeah, other than Ozzie. I've watched Miguel Tejada make those plays, Garcia Parra, Alex Rodriguez. All these guys go deep in the hole now, out on the outfield grass, and make it like it's a routine play.
Well, I think it was Ozzie's fault.
Yeah, well, Ozzie.
All these guys says, oh, that's how you play shortstop. Todd Zeile slashes it foul into the seats.
Well, he's still the wizard to me. I mean, I've seen him make so many great plays. He's still in the class by himself, but all these other guys are great shortstops nowadays.
1-2 the count. Well, and one of the best around is injured right now. The Mets regular shortstop, Ray Ordonez, a former teammate of Livan Hernandez in Cuba. Popped up. Foul ground, Estelle and Miller. Miller calls him off. He stumbled a little bit and almost lost it. We go to the last of the 6th inning. Kent, Burks, and Aurelia coming up. 5-1 Giants. Mahalo Nui Loa it just looked like Hawaii there for a second. Actually, we're in San Francisco. South Beach Marina and then the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge off in the distance. If you leave here after the ball game and head across that bridge, you can get over to the Coliseum maybe just in time for the A's Yankees game 2 tonight. Just started about I guess a 5:15 Pacific time.
Well, I'm planning on trying to catch a plane to St. Louis. If I missed a plane, I can't think of anything better than to go to an A's.
So you want to see games from every series live, is that it?
That works.
Joe worked last night on NBC over in Oakland.
Good game too.
Here today with us, and then tomorrow Joe and I will be at Busch Stadium, St. Louis. Mike Bordick throws out Jeff Kent, and there is one away. 8 straight batters retired by Hampton since Ellis Burks hit a 3-run homer in the 3rd.
And again, left-handed pitchers just cannot pitch him inside. They're always more successful trying to run the ball away, but he'll go the other way with it. But you definitely can't pitch him inside. He is so quick inside that he doesn't have to look for the ball in there. And that's why he's successful. Left-handed pitchers can't make him look in there, and he can handle it when they do come in there.
Burks has grounded out and hit that long home run. That's a strike on the outside. Now, the Giants 2 through 5 hitters, Miller, Bonds, Kent, and Burks. They've had 5 hits in 10 at-bats with 5 RBIs, 5 runs scored. The whole rest of the lineup has been completely shut out by Hampton.
Those are the guys who get the big bucks, right? They're the ones. Hey, they're the ones that's supposed to do it.
So you're not impressed?
Hey, that's why they get the big bucks. The guys in the middle of the lineup. That's why they hit there. No, I mean, that's why the Giants have been successful all year, though. Is the middle of the lineup has done a great job.
So the big buck guys.
Yeah, the big buck guys do their thing.
Giving a lot of value for the dollar.
And if we take a look at the Mets today, you mentioned the 3, 4, 5 hitters were 0 for like 6 or 8 now. So, I mean, that's the difference between the two teams at this point.
2-1 to Burks. And it's low and inside.
And a 3. I'm still shocked that he wants to pitch him inside again. He threw him a good fastball away, running away. And it's okay. Yeah, but it's okay to keep him honest by coming off the plate inside. But he's come in there like twice now. Well, they're going away.
Well, he was supposed to go away, and he missed down and in, ball 4. So the big buck guys have produced for the Giants today. That's a direct quote from Joe Morgan. I'm John Miller. By about the 8th inning, Joe will have his stock tips, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, no, I don't do that.
Yeah. Joe Morgan and Moneyline. All right. Rich Aurelia, the way he's been going, he'll be one of those big buck guys before long. Aurelia, the lifelong Mets fan, now trying to drive a stake through the Mets' hearts in this series. Aurelia is flied out and struck out 0 for 2 in the game. Burks at first, 1 out. Aurelia down the left field line. That's a base hit. Out by Yanni. They'll play it off the car tire. Burks is going to be held at third as the relay comes to Bordick. It's a double for Aurelia.
Aurelia went out and got this pitch and brought it back. It looked like it was an off-speed pitch away, and it didn't get quite away as far away as he wanted it, but he hooked it. Looked like a little curveball out there, and he hooked it and pulled it down into the corner. And Ellis Burks looks like he's running pretty well right there. Although we talked about the fact that he has bad knees.
Burks will come in early. They got the left-handed batter Snow coming up here. And with the left-hander in the mound, they're going to walk him intentionally. They've got a right-hander up in their bullpen, do the Mets. Bullpen is getting busy. The right-handed batting, Bobby Estelea, is on deck. Now, this is interesting, John. You got the lefty versus the lefty, and Snow is 1 for 15 lifetime as Turk Wendell is getting ready in the bullpen. He's 1 for 15 against Hampton.
Well, I think the problem is, John, you cannot afford to give up any more runs if you're the Mets. So what they're going to try to do, instead of getting Snow out and then having to get Estelea out as well, they're going to walk Snow and try to give themselves one at bat to get the double play and get out of the jam. This is smart. I think it's smart because you can't give up any more runs. If you're the Mets, you're already down 4 runs going to the 7th inning, your 7th inning at bat. So you have a chance here of getting out of this jam by only facing 1 hitter. Whereas if you get Snow out, you still have to get another hitter out. You still have to get Estelea out. So he's going to try to do it by getting a ground ball and get the double play.
Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, going out. What if you pitched to Snow and you got him out? Then you could walk Escalade.
Well, but you're going to be the same thing. Then you're going to end up with a.
We got Turk Wendell coming into the game with the bases loaded and 1 out. Hampton is finished. 5-1 Giants. They're coming back. 5-1 Giants, and Mike Hampton, you saw the look in his face as he got back to the dugout after being ordered to walk Snow and then taken out.
Well, John was going to finish. I didn't get the answer. But if Snow puts the ball in play any place, you know, you're in trouble. You're going to give up a run. Yeah, even if Escalade puts it in play, you may be able to get a ground ball double play and get out of the inning. Like I said, they cannot afford to give up any more runs at this point.
Turk Wendell comes in. The bases are loaded. The Mets just trying to stay even fairly close in this game. Slider misses. 1 ball to no strikes. And Escalade, not a very fast runner. On the other hand, he only grounded into 4 double plays this year, and he had one of his grand slams against the Mets, against Glendon Rush back in early May in this ballpark. Escalade hit 14 homers and 299 at-bats. Burks, Aurelia, and Snow the runners. High and foul up the third base side. Into the second deck. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You mentioned Escalade did not hit into a lot of double plays, and that's because he hits a lot of fly balls and he doesn't hit the ball near the bag at second base. One of the best hitters I ever played with, Carney Lansford, he hit into a lot of double plays because he hit the ball hard right up the middle a lot, and it's easy to turn the double play with 2 short throws like that.
After Escalade, it's the pitcher, Livan Hernandez. 5-1. The Giants already leading by 4 in the 6th. Slider put off the end of the bat, foul, and the count now 1-2 to Escalade.
And when Turk Wendell's on the mound, you're going to get a slider. The only thing you have to worry about is going to be a hard slider, a slow slider, or a medium speed slider. He changes speeds on his sliders a lot, and that's what makes him effective.
Escalade went 0 for 3 against Wendell this year. 1-2. Too low to the center.
That was a pretty good pitch right there. That's the one that he wanted Escalade to hit. If he hits that, he's more than likely going to hit it on the ground.
More bullpen activity going for the Mets meanwhile. 3 men on, 1 man out. Struck him out.
Right by him. That's the best fastball he's thrown, 90 miles an hour and up. Actually, now you're in better shape if you're the Mets because you struck him out. If you would have struck Snow out, you still would have had to come to this situation anyway, and you have a better chance of striking Escalade out than you did Snow with runners in scoring position, because Snow would have probably made sure he put the ball in play.
Well, and had you done that and then you decided to walk Escalade, you still got Livan Hernandez, who is one of the best hitting pitchers in the game.
And he's hacking.
He had 9 RBIs this year. And his teammate Sean Estes had 10 batted in. Giants pitchers as a group were among the best hitting pitchers in the league. There's Glendon Rush, a left-hander, up in the Mets bullpen. Burks at third, Aurelia at second, Snow at first. Upping that slider foul and back out of play. Now it is 0-2 to Hernandez. Now this is a chance for the Giants to really just destroy the Mets in this game. On the other hand, although it is 5-1, if the Mets can get out of it, they would still have a chance to. They're close enough to tie it on 1 swing of the bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Plus, if they can get out of this jam, it gives them a lift psychologically. It'll really say, well, guys, we're still in this. Let's make a run right now. It really helps you when a guy comes in like Wendell and is able to shut them down, hopefully, and not give up any more runs.
And the slider in the dirt, swung on and missed. Piazza just stepped on the plate, and that is the inning. So the Giants lead them loaded. It's still 5-1. Mets trailing heading to the 7th. Hamilton coming up. 5-1. The Giants leading the Mets in the top of the 7th inning now. Most people are watching this game free of charge out of what they call the portholes. There's a walkway on the pier behind the right field wall. And on those big archways, there are openings, and the fans are allowed to come in and have a look. Although every 3 innings, when there's a big group of them, they're asked to leave and let a new group come in and have a look. That's where Joe and I would be if they didn't let us up here.
Well, that's kind of a teaser, man. You know, you see just enough to get you excited and want to come to the next Giants ball game.
And that was sort of the idea of Giants managing general partner Peter McGowan, who was sort of the mastermind behind this ballpark. He said this is going to be sold. There is Peter McGowan. This ballpark is going to be sold out all the time as Hamilton takes outside ball 2. So we still want to interest that next generation of Giants fans. He said maybe a father will take his kids and they'll watch a few innings out there. And the kid just said, when we going, Dad? 3-1 the count to Darrell Hamilton. And he leads over the walk.
And Livan doesn't like that call either. Now here comes Rich Aurelia in to talk to him and try to calm him down. You look at Livan, he was very unhappy about that last call.
The batter will be Mike Bordick. Alvaro Martin standing by down near the Mets dugout.
Well, gentlemen, he's up to 95 pitches. That's Livan Hernandez, and pitch counts for him have never been an issue, because when you grow up in Cuba, up until recently, pitch counts really were never an issue. The limit for the regular season in Cuban baseball was just instituted a couple of years back, and it's 125 per game. In the postseason, there are no limits, and Livan has thrown over 200 pitches several times in his career. He's even done it here in the States as well. So pitch count for him, never an issue.
There's a called strike to Mike Bordick. Well, Livan said that he threw as many as 225 pitches in a game. Man, in Cuba. He has not been able to get Bordick out today. Bordick has singled to right and scored a run, and he has walked. On deck is a pinch hitter, apparently, for pitcher Turk Wendell. There is Timoniel Perez. They call him Timo in New York. He did so well the last 6 weeks of the season after being called up. They made room for him on their postseason roster. 0-2 the count. Right there, strike 3 call. Now it is Bordick's turn to be unhappy with the call.
Well, he throws a fastball towards the outside corner. That's a pretty good pitch. I mean, you know, it's hard to tell exactly. And it's right out there on the corner.
Well, it sure was right in the glove.
Yeah.
What we can't tell from that angle is, was the glove right on the corner, or was it a little off the corner?
Well, let's put it this way. Livan was unhappy about the walk to Hamilton. Now Bordick's unhappy about the strikeout. So, as they say, things even out.
That's not what Bordick would tell us. Here's the Timo Perez. First ball swinging, left field. Bonds battling the sun and the wind. He's got it right at the edge of the track. Well, Perez off the bench went up there hacking, and he is quickly retired.
I was thinking about this last week, John, but the Gold Glove winners in the National League this year, who's going to win the Gold Gloves for the outfield? Barry Bonds has won them. Ken Griffey Jr., Andrew Jones, Steve Finley. They've had, you know, some guys who have won them last, and there can only be 3. So it's going to be a difficult choice.
Well, who are you voting for?
I don't get a vote. So we'll eliminate that. I do not get a vote. And I'm sure I missed someone else. Who was? I said Steve Finley, Andrew Jones. Oh, Jim Edmonds.
His agent just called.
Yeah, Jim Edmonds. All these guys won Gold Gloves last year. Of course, Edmonds, Griffey were in the American League.
But you have no opinion.
Oh, I definitely have an opinion, but I don't get a vote.
That's called a ball. And again, there's right now there's sort of an issue about what is and what isn't a strike in that outside part of the plate. Agbayani, Jeff Kellogg, whichever way he calls it, can't win.
Yeah, it makes somebody unhappy.
Well, it looked like he missed his spot with that pitch, but again, really the Mets have had some fat pitches from Livan, and they just have not hit him.
Well, early in the game, he hung 3 or 4 breaking balls, and he was able to get away with them. And I think that's really a big difference in this ballgame at this point, because he's made a lot of really good pitches, but he made 3 or 4 bad ones early, and he got away.
2 down, runner at first. 1-2 the count. That one is off the outside. Clearly, a fastball missing.
And contrary to popular belief, every mistake that a pitcher makes does not go out of the ballpark. It only seems that way. But when you throw 125, 130 pitches, you're going to make some mistakes.
Struck him out with a nasty-looking, I think, slider. 1 man left. Last of the 7th now. Top of the order, Bernard Miller and Barry Bonds coming up. 5-1 Giants.
Bill Pito back in the studio. Game 2, the Mariners and the White Sox. Jay Buhner breaking a 2-2 tie in the 4th, his 7th career postseason home run. Paul Abbott the win. The Mariners bullpen in this series has not given up an earned run in 10 innings of work. Mariners win at 5-2, Game 3 in Seattle on Friday. And after the game, Trey Wingo, Kenny Mayne, and Chris McKendry, all you need to know about all the baseball playoffs after you guys are done from San Francisco.
Well, we're not done yet. Last of the 7th inning, the Giants ahead 5-1. From Pacific Bell Park, the home of the Giants. Game 2 here tomorrow. A twilight start, which could make it awfully tough on a hitter, at least early in that game. Darrell Hamilton now moves over to left field. And Timoniel Perez stays in the game to play right field for the Mets. Actually, he had originally gone into left field, but then they had them flip-flop, and Dennis Cook comes into the game. He'll be inserted in the leadoff spot in place of Agbayani, who departs. Cook, who originally came up with the Giants all the way back in 1988. And he's been around a long time, and he has had great success in postseason play. He has never given up a run in the postseason, covering 13 2/3 innings. Marvin Bernard leads off. And Cook and Bernard have a little history in this ballpark. In fact, the last time they faced in this ballpark, Cook inadvertently hit Bernard with a pitch, which everybody knew was inadvertent because the Giants needed Bernard to get on base. Late in the game, in a tight game, Bernard stared out at Cook. Cook started shouting at Bernard. Both benches empty. Drops down from the side. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Mets and Giants had a couple of run-ins in that series. 1 ball, 1 strike. But that was a long, long time ago. Nearly 5 months ago. In fact, a little over 5 months ago now.
But they have not forgotten it, I guarantee you that.
Bernard pops it up foul and back out of play.
And you can see right there, Dennis Cook has a good curveball, but he was intent on throwing the first couple of fastballs in on Bernard.
Rick White up in the bullpen for the Mets. Livan Hernandez has limited the Mets to only 4 hits and 1 run through 7. It'll face the big hitters in the Mets order in the 8th inning. Bernard in that side-on fastball, it's a foul. Todd Zeile plays it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And actually, this is something new. Dennis Cook very rarely does that. Drop down and throw from the side.
Last time that Cook faced the Giants in New York, the Giants roughed him up for 6 runs in 1/3 of an inning. August the 14th, Cook had come on in relief of Rick Reed. And Bernard is down on strikes. So the Giants leadoff man is 0 for 4 in this game and never got the ball out of the infield. Our picturesque looks at Pacific Bell Park have been courtesy of the MetLife blimp Snoopy 2. The blimp typically cruises at a speed of 35 miles an hour at an altitude of about 1,200 feet. Sort of like a Mark McGwire pop-up. Look to the skies for the MetLife blimp in a town near you. McGwire got into the game yesterday in St. Louis as a pinch hitter and was walked intentionally, which Tony La Russa knew, I'm sure, before he ever sent McGwire out there. Here's Bill Miller. Miller's been a key man for the Giants offense today. He's been able to get on base twice in front of Bonds. And he was the man who started both of the Giants' rallies with a double in the first inning and a single in the third. He scored in each of those innings. It's 2 for 3. Curveball is too low. 2-0 the count. Barry Bonds is on deck. Well, I would guess, Joe, I mean, if you're the Mets, if you can just get out of here having split the first 2 games, you like your chances at Shea.
Well, I think that's what happens when you open on the road. You want to get a split. It's like the Yankees against the Oakland A's. They want to get a split and get back to New York with a split. Then they feel like they'll be in pretty good shape. Because you have to win one on the road if you're going to win the championship if you do not have the home field advantage.
2 of this series tomorrow. The Mets going with Al Leiter, their biggest winner, against the Giants left-hander Sean Estes. Miller hit it sharply right to Bordick out number 2. Now Barry Bonds. Here's what they call the arcade here at Pacific Bell Park above the big wall. That's right near the foul pole. Against Cook, only 2 hits in 16 lifetime at-bats for Barry against this left-hander. Every once in a while there'll be a pitcher come into a game who's been a nemesis of Barry Bonds, and Cook is one of them. 2 down, nobody on. Drops down from the side again. Didn't get the call. Fastball missing inside.
And Barry had 49 home runs. I mean, the magical number of 50 is something special, and I'm sure you wanted that one more home run, but you told me he hit a ball off the center field wall and the Bob
Phoenix, yeah, on Friday.
That would have been a home run in most ballparks with that high wall.
The center field wall is what, 25 feet high or 21, whatever it is, and he hit it about 15 feet up on that wall, 12 to 15 feet.
But maybe there is some justice because Sammy Sosa wins the National League home run crown. And remember, he's hit 60 plus for 2 years and didn't win one. He always lost to Mark McGwire. So I guess it was his turn to win.
Sammy went 65 one year, 63 the next. One of the greatest 2-year stretches in the history of baseball, but not even the best 2-year stretch in those 2 years.
Those 2 years, right. Maybe Mark McGwire beat him both years. So
Sammy Sosa, the home run king in the majors this year. Congratulations. 3-0 to Bonds. Again, off the inside. Ball 4 to Bonds. So he reaches for the 3rd time in this game. 2 for 3 with a walk. The batter will be Jeff Kent. The Giants Panasonic in-game box score. The 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. Miller, Bonds, Kent, and Burks. 5 hits up till now in 11 at-bats. Really, the 6th place hitter added a double in the 6th inning. So they've concentrated it amongst Miller and the 3 sluggers behind him. And that's netted them 5 runs. Jeff Kent drove in a run in the 1st inning with an infield out. He walked in the 3rd just in front of Burks' 3-run homer. He grounded out to short in the 6th. The former Met. And his time in New York was not a happy time for him. But he came here to San Francisco and was born again as a great offensive second baseman. Bonds just had an incredible jump that time, and Piazza did not even bother to throw.
Well, Barry has stolen 40 bases and hit 40 home runs in the same season, and he just gets a great jump here. Again, part of the reason is when they play in front of you like that as a base stealer, you know that you can get back to first base, so you can take as much of a lead as you want. And when he did that, Barry just took off.
Rick White, the right-hander, ready in the bullpen. Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, is heading to the mound, and he is signaled down for White. So Bonds at second. 1 ball, no strikes. The count to Jeff Kent. And White, who started the year as a Tampa Bay Devil Ray, coming in for New York. 5-1 San Francisco. We'll be back. Giants 5, Mets 1, game 1 of this National League Division Series. Earlier today, the Mariners made it 2-0, beating the White Sox at Comiskey Park. Later this afternoon here tonight, Eastern time, the A's will try and go 2-up on the Yankees over across the bay at the Coliseum as Rick White comes on. And he had a very fine season, except for a little slump late in the season, Joey. His mechanics are a little bit off. He worked on him with Dave Wallace, corrected him, and by the last 3-4 days, they said he was back to normal.
Here's Jeff Kent. He went back after they changed pitchers. They took Cook out, and he goes back to the dugout to get another bat. And the reason for that is a lot of times you will use a heavier bat against a left-handed pitcher if you're a right-handed hitter, and you use your normal bat weight-wise against a right-handed pitcher. So he probably went back and got his right-handed bat. So there is such a thing, a right-handed bat and a left-handed bat.
I learn something from you every time. So Jeff Kent, a right-handed hitter with his right-handed bat?
Right. He has his right-handed bat here. But a lot of players do that. You use a little heavier bat against the opposite pitcher, meaning if you're a left-handed hitter and it's a right-handed pitcher, you use a little heavier bat than you would if it was a left-handed pitcher and a left-handed hitter.
Bonds at second, 2 down. Ellis Burks on deck. Just off the outside with a fastball. 3-0. White inherited a 1-ball no strike count to Jeff Kent. White is the 4th Mets pitcher of the game.
And I'm sure Jeff Kent has the green light if he wants it here.
These young bat boys there. He swung. Bordick from left field. Swing. It came off the bag. Zeal came off the bag, according to Cederstrom, the first base umpire.
Nice play there by Bordick deep in the hole. And Todd Zeal did everything that he possibly could do to stay on the bag. And Gary Cederstrom says he was off the bag, and he made it clear to everyone. Bordick deep in the hole, he throws him, he pulls him off, and you can see that.
Yeah, he was off.
Well, it appears that he's off, especially from that angle. Let's see from this angle. I don't know, John. Look at his toe.
Yeah.
That's very close, but I mean, obviously, Cederstrom has a better view of it than we can get from our angle.
Well, Bordick felt he had a very good view of it. He was upset. I mean, from the one angle, looked like it clearly came off.
Clearly,
the
right.
other angle looks like it's on.
Yeah, it looks like his toe.
Ellis Burks, who has had the most damaging hit of the day, a 3-run homer in the 3rd inning off the left field foul pole.
Well, we get another look here. Watch his toe instead of his foot, because his toe is, I mean, it looks like he has the bag there. I mean, and Zeal was upset. It looked like me, but it's obviously very close. I mean, you can't tell. I mean, it could have been 2 inches off that we can't see from that camera angle.
Now, had Bonds not stolen second, Bordick could have had a force at second base on that ground ball by Kent. So Bonds went to 3rd. Bordick's only play was to 1st. The Mets feel like they got jobbed on the call over there. Ellis Burks, 1 ball, 1 strike to count to him. On the outside corner, strike 2 call to Burks. The big sequence in the game all began in the 3rd inning when the Mets felt they didn't get a call with Mike Hampton on the mound.
Well, one thing that the players and, well, you can see the catcher, Piazza, move that ball. Usually, as I said, the catcher will tell you whether the pitch is a strike or not. If he catches it and leaves it there, you know, he thinks it's a strike. That one you can see him move the pitch in.
To 3rd base, high hop for Ventura. Throws him out. The Giants lead 2 men on. It will be Jay Payton, Edgardo Alfonso, Mike Piazza, Ventura, and Zeal behind them. Mets are running out of outs. 5-1 Giants. Downtown San Francisco. Here's the Coit Tower on Telegraph Hill. The Pyramid Building looking toward Fisherman's Wharf. And on top of one of the hotels, they like both teams. They're rooting for the Giants and the A's. The A's play a little bit later About an hour and a half from now over at the Coliseum. That game will be televised on the Fox network starting at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. We're here at Pacific Bell Park across the bay from there. Game 1 here. It's a little more critical over in Oakland tonight. I mean, game 2 in a best of 5. The team that lost the first game is in a must-win situation.
Correct. I didn't think the Yankees were in a must-win last night because they had played so poorly. They just needed to play well to show themselves that, hey, we can pick it up. And they did. I thought they played a good game. They could have won that game. It didn't. The A's played well. It was a well-played ball game last night.
And they've been playing well for a long time, all through the month of September. There's ball 1 from Livan Hernandez to Jay Payton. That was the 105th pitch thrown by Livan. Giants bullpen for the 8th and 9th innings has been outstanding. Felix Rodriguez has been their big man for the 8th innings, and Rob Nen for the 9th inning. Of course, the Mets, you see Rodriguez, the right-hander, number 47, and Alan Embry, the left-hander, getting ready in the Giants bullpen if needed. The big guys come up for the Mets after Payton. He hits a bullet caught by Miller, who was pulled in at third.
Well, I think he busted his glove. Or came close. He did.
Lucky he didn't break his hand.
Hey, the webbing split. Well, maybe not. It looked like he was asked them, tell him to bring a new glove. Now watch, this ball is just drilled.
Oh.
And you can see it almost came through the web. I'm not sure he broke the web, but it almost came through it. He asked for a new glove. But he caught it. Remember, Livan's brother, El Duque, threw his glove to first base when he caught a ball like that on a ground ball.
Up on the big TV screen here in the ballpark, up on the scoreboard, they showed that same picture we were just showing with a little thing on the screen for the sponsor of the highlight. Web TV. Web TV. Very appropriate. Is the Panasonic Mets in-game box score. Miller is in the dugout getting a new glove for the Mets. You see the top of the order, nothing. Except leadoff man Agbayani, who's no longer in the game. White listed in the leadoff spot now. Agbayani did have a base hit, but Payton, Alfonso, Piazza, Ventura all shut down. Zeal with a double hitting 6. There's Miller with the new glove. Very colorful glove. High contrast.
This is probably his practice glove, the one he's been working on to break in to be his gamer. But I guarantee you he'll have that one sent to the repair, leather repair place, and get that one fixed before tomorrow's game. But there are a lot of guys in the clubhouse that can do it. Mike Murphy can fix it.
1 ball and no strikes to Alfonso. And that's back out of play. Alvaro Martin is with us. Alvaro.
Well, John, speaking of gloves, Livan Hernandez is using a Orlando El Duque Hernandez glove. He used to have his own, but then his brother gave him one. He found it was better, suppler, and also a little bit longer. And since then he's kept it. He loves it.
So the Mets are almost up against the whole Hernandez family today. Livan using a glove from his older half-brother, the Yankees' El Duque, Orlando Hernandez.
And John, you'll notice that all the pitcher's gloves will have the web is closed. And that's because they want to hide the ball in there. Whereas you see it's completely enclosed, the web there. Right there, you can see it's all enclosed. Whereas you saw Bill Miller with a T. And part of that reason for that is if your line drive is hit towards you, you can see through the web if you're an infielder to be able to catch the ball. Whereas if you're a pitcher, you want the web closed so that you can hide the ball from the hitter. I was like a pitcher. I always wanted that web closed.
Looks like it says El Duque Hernandez right there.
He holds still.
Yeah, come on. There we go. 1-2 the count to Alfonso. Piazza on deck. That's a base hit to right field. And so for the first time today, Mike Piazza will come to bat with somebody on base. And he'll get to face Livan Hernandez working from the stretch for the first time.
And you have to also be aware that there's 2 balls that have been hit very hard here to start the 8th inning.
Get the lefty Ventura on deck. Now, Piazza has popped to short, fly to center, and flied out deep to right center. Slider low for ball 1. 113 pitches thrown now by Livan Hernandez. Livan, who used to work for roughly $10 a month in the Cuban leagues. 16-hour bus trips were not unusual. They stayed in hotels when they were on road trips. He played for the Havana team, Industriales, whom we saw last year, Joe. And when they were on the road, sometimes 6 players would stay in the same room in the hotels.
Well, you can see he is definitely going to all breaking balls. He does not want to throw many fastballs.
When he walks Piazza on 4 pitches. Now Ventura with a chance to do some serious damage. And Dusty Baker has a left-hander ready in his bullpen.
Well, he just got the wave from the bullpen that he is ready.
Juan Lopez, the Giants bullpen coach, wearing the jacket, just took the hat off, waving it. Now Dusty is heading out.
And I think this is a good move because there have been 2 balls hit very hard, and he walked Piazza missing badly with a few breaking balls. He's pitched a good ball game. I think now you've got a left-handed hitter up there who can hurt you. Bring the left-hander in. But I've noticed that Dusty over the years stayed with Livan a lot longer than he does a lot of his other starters. And it could be the same reason we talked about earlier. Livan seems to be able to throw better as the game goes along, 6th and 7th and 8th inning.
Well, he's sticking with it, which is a popular move among many in the crowd here. But you wonder if he's really tempting fate here, Joe.
It's popular at this point. We'll see what happens the rest of the game.
Well, it was the last time that Livan faced the Mets was in August at Shea Stadium, and in the 8th inning, with a scoreless tie, Robin Ventura came up and he ripped a double to drive in the first run of that game. That was a game back on August 13th at Shea Stadium. The Mets went on to win the game 2-0. And in his career, Ventura is 11 for 25. A changeup. It's too low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, I think the question I would have is, it appears to me that he's lost confidence in his fastball and he's becoming just an off-speed pitcher. And that's okay to a certain degree, but you've got some pretty good hitters who can adjust to those off-speeds.
There's a slider. 1-1, so he's throwing him a changeup and a slider.
And so if you're Robin Ventura, you've watched him pitch to the other hitters this inning, and especially to Mike Piazza, you've got to know that he doesn't want to get you out with a fastball. He's going to use his off-speed pitch to get you out.
Ventura with a 4.40 lifetime average against Livan. Another slider. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And the slider I like is a better pitch for him than the curveball because you can hang the curveball. The slider, he's getting it down at least. And there's a good slider there. But usually a good hitter, he doesn't care whether it's a slider or a changeup. He just wants to know the speed is not going to be a fastball.
To Kent at second. Bobbles it. And he ends up just getting the 1 at first. And the Mets not happy about that call. And here comes Bobby Valentine. He runs the length of the dugout. And he's going to go out and get into it now with Gary Cederstrom. Jeff Kent, in his haste to start the double play, was lucky he got anybody.
I didn't see that play at first base as being that close. But, Bobby has a different view than I had. I thought he was out at first base. Here's the bobble. It was an in-between hop. It wasn't an easy play. Now he bobbles it a couple of times. And I didn't think that play was that close. See him bobble it there. He bobbles it again. But he's lucky that he caught it. And you can see that he is out. Now watch, if you see, I didn't think it was that close. His foot is clearly in the air when the ball is in Snow's glove. A good stretch there by Snow.
By inches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that plays at first base, if it's 6 inches, that's really a lot. I mean, mean, they get a lot closer than that.
I guess for the Mets, it just seems like every close call is going on.
And I understand that point.
I mean, that was a real big play because
the tying run would be
at the plate right now, and Livan would surely be out of the game with Felix Rodriguez, the hard-throwing right-hander, ready in the bullpen. So here is Zeal. He has popped up, doubled, and fouled out. It's a strike on the outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. I mean, the Mets, it really all started with a call that Mike Hampton didn't like when he thought he had Barry Bonds struck out in the 3rd inning.
And I think that's why you saw Bobby out there. Like you said, I'm sure that he realized that he was out at first base, because if I can see it from up here, he could see it clear, more clearly down there.
That one is just off the corner. Again, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't.
Well, Livan gets upset with this pitch. I mean, it may be close, but it appears that it's off the plate, but Livan gets upset, and you can see that
Estelaire
brought it back. Again, we're at the point of the game. This is a tough part of the game, and both sides.
And this may be the game right here. Off the outside again. And again, Livan unhappy with the call. 3-1. Darrell Hamilton, a left-handed hitter, on deck.
Well, you can see Kellogg finally just motioned to Livan. He motioned to him that the pitch was outside. And you can see the frustration there, but Kellogg motioned to him that it was outside.
3-1 the count. And he walks him. So the Mets will get a chance to tie this game with 1 swing of the bat. Hernandez has walked 2 in the inning, and now Dusty Baker is coming out for the 2nd time. So that will be all for Livan. He did get Ventura, and in fact appeared to get him to hit the double play ball to end the inning. But Jeff Kent could not handle it cleanly. He got only the 1 out. Now Felix Rodriguez comes in, and the crowd will be going nuts, we suppose, in a moment here as Livan Hernandez gets ready to leave. And the Mets have their shot, trailing 5-1, but with 3 men on, 2 men down, and Livan departs. Again, strong in the postseason, Livan Hernandez. Giants 5, Mets 1, and the Mets with a shot at it now. And Dusty Baker with the bases loaded and 2 down, and the left-handed batting, Darrell Hamilton coming up, brings in a right-hander, Felix Rodriguez, rather than the left-hander, Alan Embry. And in fact, he stayed with Livan Hernandez 2 batters earlier when the left-handed batting Ventura was up, rather than bring in Embry as well. Embry, who finished the season struggling, and Dusty Baker with Livan, who had never had much success against Ventura in the past, but had got him out today. And in fact, he got him to hit what could have been an inning-ending double play ball. So Livan now has handed the ball to Felix Rodriguez, 3 men on. Alfonso, Piazza, and Zeal. And here is Hamilton, not a power hitter. Fastball, a little bit low. Now, had he brought in the left-hander Embry here, then surely a right-handed hitter would have come out of Bobby Valentine's dugout. He's got Bubba Trammell, among others, who is a right-handed hitter who could hit a home run to tie this game. Hamilton is more of a spray type hitter.
If you were going to bring Embry in, it would have been to pitch to Ventura. I think that was the time you would have brought him in.
And today Ventura went 0 for 4 against Livan. There's Rob Nen, the Giants closer, getting ready in the bullpen.
I think this is very important for Rodriguez to shut them down. And it's not whether they win the game. They can go on and win the game even if he doesn't. But the point is, when you are shutting a team down, you do not want to give them any hope. You don't want to give them anything to build on for the next game. If the Mets come back, score 2, 3 runs even, it gives them something to build on for the remainder of the series. And they were swept here last time. You want to keep it that way.
Felix Rodriguez in his first postseason game. 3 men on, 2 men out. To the screen, went back after him with the high hard one at 97 miles an hour. He was a former catcher. Came up in the Dodgers organization, and they converted him to pitching. And he had such a great arm and in fact was asked to pitch while he was a catcher. They sent him out to the bullpen and said, warm up as a pitcher. He struck him out. So the Mets' best chance to get back in the ball game ends up with nothing. 3 men stranded. Now we go to the last half of the 8th inning. Rich Aurelia, J.T. Snow, Bobby Estelena coming up. Still 5-1 Giants. 5-1 Giants over the Mets. Last of the 8th inning is the Lefty O'Doul Bridge, named for the former great player. He was very popular here in San Francisco. They named that bridge about 35 years ago, and it happened that they put the ballpark up next to it. There's the MetLife blimp, Snoopy 2, giving us our beautiful aerial views of the goings-on here today in San Francisco. The MetLife blimps, Snoopy 1 and Snoopy 2, have flown over 800,000 miles to provide aerial coverage of sporting events and television specials throughout the United States and Canada. We're always glad to have them with us. Livan Hernandez and pitching coach Dave Righetti back in the dugout afterward.
Well, Dave Righetti, of course, has been given a lot of credit for the great job that the staff did this year, and rightfully so. He's done a great job and just been able to pass along his experiences in the major leagues, and pitching under pressure has probably helped these guys.
We saw a game at the Estadio Latino Americano last year. We saw Industriales in their home ballpark playing in the Cuban World Series. And it was a very loud and passionate crowd. And it is the national sport in Cuba. Here is Rich Aurelia, 1 for 3. Rick White, the 4th Mets pitcher of the game, and a slider in there for a strike. You know, Livan Hernandez was the first Cuban defector who came to this country and really had an impact on Major League Baseball, which he did because he came to such prominence in the postseason in 1997. And that's outside. There have been 135 Major League players who originally came from Cuba, but Livan was the first to pitch in the postseason since El Tiante, Louis Tiant, who faced you, Joe,
several times.
1975 World Series, that fabled World Series. I can't remember how that series turned out now.
Well, the good guys won. I can answer that for you.
Oh, you broke their hearts in Boston, Joe.
There's Livan. I mean, he's a workhorse, and I think sometimes, you know, because he's strong and he wants to stay out there, sometimes he may stay out there a little longer than he should. And especially during the regular season, I think there were games where he ended up giving up a lot of runs late, even when he pitched well and even won the game.
Rob Nen in the bullpen for the Giants, getting set for the 9th inning. Well, Dusty Baker says that Livan Hernandez is his caballo, which is Spanish for horse. The outside to Aurelia, strike 2, 3-2 to count. And in fact, Livan pitched 240 innings this year. 3-2 to Aurelia. He is 1 for 3 in the game. 125 pitches today, 7 2/3 innings pitched, 1 run allowed. High in the air, down the right field line, Zeal and Alfonso out, and nobody gets it. The right fielder Perez came in. Zeal lunged for it at the last.
Well, that's one of those situations you talked about earlier. That ball got up pretty high, and I guarantee you was swirling around, because I actually thought it was going to be just in fair territory, and it ended up quite a bit foul. And watch Zeal. He's running down the line, and it just continues to move away from him.
Well, ordinarily, the wind blows in with gusto out toward left field, and would blow a ball like that
back fair.
But at the moment that ball was hit, you can see a little bit of wind blowing right now, but the flags were hanging limply at that time. So more like that right there. There really was no wind to speak of when that ball was hit. Beautiful day at Pac Bell Park. 3-2. the glove of Ventura. And Aurelia is on board again. He hit a double his last time. He hit this one real hard.
Well, Ventura tries to flag it down, but you can see the ball didn't bounce. Kind of skidded once it hit the ground.
I think it hit right at the edge where the grass meets the dirt.
Yeah, and he couldn't. There's no way you can make that play unless it does bounce up.
Sort of a hydroplaning effect. The batter will be J.T. Snow. He's grounded out, line to left, and been walked intentionally. Mike Hampton. He has never been able to win a postseason game. Now, you would have had to have liked the Mets' odds in this game. Hampton had never lost a game to the Giants. 9-0 lifetime. And conversely, Livan Hernandez had lost more games to the Mets than he had lost to any other team. The Mets just last year beat him 5 times the same year. And yet, Livan has been here before and had success here in this postseason arena. But for Hampton, success has continued to elude it. That's a base hit. Zio made a great try for it. Aurelia stops at second. Two men on, nobody out. The Yankees and the Athletics will be later today, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, from the Coliseum on the Fox Network. Tomorrow, we'll have more coverage of the National League Division Series between the Atlanta Braves and the St. Louis Cardinals. Glavin and Kyle, 2 20-game winners. Big game for the Braves. Down 1-0. That's at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. And then at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Game 2 of this series on the Fox Network. It'll be the Giants and the Mets with Al Leiter up against Sean Estes. Now, that's a tough way to get a view of the game.
And dangerous.
High. Bobby Estelea. His fly deep to left, grounded to short, and struck out. 0 for 3. Wow, that one hit him if he hadn't bunted it. They get the out at third, and Aurelia. Looked like he tried to take Ventura out to keep him from getting a double play.
And he probably would have had a double play if he wouldn't have upset him there. I mean, look at that. I mean, that ball would have hit him in the chest, John. Now watch this. Ventura he gets back. Now he's going to try to make the play to first base, and in comes Aurelia, and he takes his feet from under him, which is the way you're supposed to do it. So they only get the one out.
Now, ordinarily, you're taught to bunt if it's a strike. But on the other hand, you sort of do whatever you have to do
to defend yourself. That one was
right
chasing him.
Head right for your sternum.
Yeah, that was chasing him.
Here's Felipe Crespo. He was the Giants' best pinch hitter of the year. 15 pinch hits in 51 tries. A switch hitter batting left-handed, formerly with the Toronto Blue Jays. And he goes up to looking fastball, Joe.
That's not a bad thing to do. I think he's got a 50-50 chance. It's going to be a fastball or something off speed.
Well, he got one, but it wasn't a strike.
And then there are a lot of guys go up there looking for fastball. They say, why? He said, because I can hit it. I'm not going to look for something I can't hit.
1-1 the count. Another high one, and again he chased it. 0-2 the count. Now, if you know a guy is sitting fastball all the way, and he'll swing at one that's up out of the strike zone, I guess why not stay up there?
Well, there are a lot of guys who consider themselves first ball fastball hitters, and what the pitcher says doesn't mean I'm not going to throw him a fastball. It means I'm not going to throw him one in his zone, because a lot of guys will go out of their zone to hit the fastball, whereas they only try to hit the breaking balls that are strikes.
0-2 to Crespo. Snow at second, Estelea at first. Went up there again. This time he took it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Marvin Bernard on deck. Kirby Puckett. He could hit those kind of fastballs.
Kirby could hit just about anything. He was truly a fine hitter.
He could hit the one up at his eyes, the one at his shoes,
the one that bounced.
double or something, and took a Giants roll. A base hit for Crespo. Wow.
Well, he chopped this a breaking ball and he gets the top of it. And it appears that it's going to go foul right about there. But watch when it comes off the grass, it hits something and goes back fair. And White has to pick it up.
Now with the left-handed batting Bernard coming up. The Mets have left-hander Glendon Rush warming up in their bullpen. And they're going to make the move to Rush. Wallace out there with the home plate umpire. Jeff Kellogg, 3 men on. Mets will make a double switch. And we'll come back to tell you what's happening when we return.
Bill Pito back in the studio. Seattle defeats Chicago 5-2 today. They lead the series 2-0. Kazuhiro Sasaki strikes out the side of the ninth, including Ray Durham. Seattle's bullpen so far in this series has not given up an earned run in 10 innings of work. Game 3 in Seattle on Friday. And coming up after the Giants and the Mets, it's Sports Center with Trey Wingo, Kenny Mayne, and Chris McKendrick.
All right, Bill, thank you. Here, the Giants leading 5-1, and they have the bases loaded with 1 out. Glendon Rush, a left-hander, is a starting pitcher for the Mets this year, who won 11 games. Russ Davis comes up as a pinch hitter for Marvin Bernard, the former Yankee, the former Mariner, came to the Giants this year. Davis with 9 homers and 180 at-bats, including 2 pinch hit home runs. Both late in the year, won a grand slam. The Giants have Snow, Escalera, and Crespo on the bases. New left fielder is in as well, Joe McEwing. Shadows engulfing the home plate area. As well as first base and right field corner. Davis. He's got lots of power. Off the outside. 1-2. Rush beat the Giants back in August. Formerly with the Kansas City Royals. So this is his first postseason experience. He struck him out. Number 2. Sort of a Glavine-like approach there.
Yeah, he just kept running the fastball away. And there it is off the plate outside, and Davis swings at it.
Piazza out to speak to Rush. Now you've got Bill Miller coming up, the switch hitter. And the Giants left the bases loaded in the 6th inning. They had them loaded with 1 out. And Turk Wendell came on for Hampton and retired the side. They had 2 on and 2 out in the 7th and did not score. Base loaded 1 out here now with 2 down. But they also lead 5-1. A 4-run 3rd inning for the Giants against Hampton. There's been no further scoring since then, but they have maintained the lead. A foul out of play. Now the ball is coming in from the bright sunshine, and a few feet in front of the plate it gets into those shadows.
And that's very difficult because the background is really bright, and then for just a split second everything goes darker.
Up and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Miller, who had a disappointing batting average, hitting only .268.
And see, because the shadows are there, you can see it all the way till it gets to a certain point, like right there. Then you're pretty much swinging where you thought it was.
Back into the 2nd day. 1-2. Miller, who had always hit right around 300 in his previous seasons with the Giants, this year hit only .268. But had his best year with the glove. And he had a big day today, a double and a single. And he started both of the Giants' rallies. That's in there. Strike 3 called at the knees. So the Giants have left 8 men on in the last 3 innings. But they lead by 4. We go to the 9th inning now. Nen will come on. Bordick, Perez, and McEwing due up for the Mets. 5-1, San Francisco. John Miller and Joe Morgan from San Francisco. The Giants in Game 1 leading the Mets 5-1. Dusty Baker, despite 2 Manager of the Year awards, has never actually managed a team to a win in the postseason. The Giants were swept by the Florida Marlins in 1997 in the division series. Livan Hernandez helping the Marlins win that one. Now it is here in San Francisco the 9th. As Rob Nen takes over the hill, and he has had a dominating finish to this season. He had some elbow surgery last year, and as great as his numbers look, 66 innings, only 37 hits, and 92 strikeouts versus 19 walks. They were even better yet the last 3 months of the season.
And he has gotten better as the season has moved along. But that was to be expected. I think you had to be surprised that he did so well at the beginning. You see Calvin Murray is now in center field, replacing Bernard.
Nen pitched for the Florida Marlins in 1997, helped beat the Giants for Florida. Misses very badly. The ball 1 to Mike Bordick. Bordick has been on twice. He scored the Mets run. He singled in the 3rd. He walked in the 5th. Struck out in the 7th. Frustrating day for the Mets. They've left 9 men on base. That is too high. 2-0 the count. Nen converted 28 consecutive save opportunities to end the season. The last time he blew a save was July the 2nd. Threw a slider there. 3-0. In there for a strike. 3-1. Nen had a 0.85 earned run average after the All-Star break. Three and one the count. 3-2.
Well, he has a good fastball and a great slider.
Slider sometimes will be clocked as high as 90, 91 miles an hour. 3-2 the count. Bordick hits it down the left field line. Bonds on the run. Gets there. Battling with the sun, which is fierce. Almost overran it. 1 away.
And you know it's a tough sun when Barry has a trouble with it because he is an excellent outfielder.
Now Timoniel Perez will come up. Perez flied out to left in the 7th. If the Giants hang on to this one, then the Mets will be in a critical game for them tomorrow. And you know, Tony La Russa said something interesting yesterday, Joe. Because I mean, it's obvious that it's critical if you're in a best of 5 and you lose the first game. You can't afford to go down 2 games to none. He thinks it's almost as critical for the team ahead, especially when it's the home team, because it gives you a chance really to get a grip on this series. If you lose that game, now you've let them right back into it. Giants with Sean Estes, a 15-game winner. The Mets will go with their veteran left-hander Al Leiter.
Yeah, but John, in effect, if you win the first game, whether you're the road team or the home team, that means the other team has to beat you 3 out of 4. And that's really the way to look at it. The Braves have to beat the Cardinals 3 out of 4 now. If the Giants win today, they have to lose 3 out of 4. That's pretty big task, you know, in the postseason when you're playing a good team.
2-1 the count. Kent gets to it. Over to Snow. Pulls it out of the dirt. In time. J.T. Snow, who may do that better than any other first baseman in baseball.
thing I mentioned at the beginning of the telecast. This is a much better defensive team than anyone thought they would be. And that was a nice play by Jeff Kent. I mean, that's a very difficult throw. And he catches, he's running right toward the right field corner, and he gets rid of it quickly, and J.T. Snow helps him out. And that's because the ball bounced up high, it gave Kent a chance to catch it, but it's just a tough play.
2 down. And now Lenny Harris, the veteran left-handed hitter, pinch hitting, takes a slider in the dirt from Nen. 1 ball and no strikes. Harris batting for McEwing, who just came on in the double switch in the 8th inning. Lenny Harris, 260 batting average, hit .304 after becoming a Met. 15 hits as a pinch hitter in 56 at-bats. And he's a guy who's awfully handy to have in a ball club. He can play all over, outfield, infield. Good left-handed bat. And the fans are waving these rally towels. But for the Giants defense, that can create a problem if the ball gets hit. The fans are barking. Better said they're whooping. And when they win a game here, they play the Who Let the Dogs Out song, and the fans start whooping. To have his normal slider right now. He's not throwing a good one. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Lenny Harris. Trying to keep the Mets alive here. Jay Payton on deck. Then Alfonso, then Piazza, but they got 2 down and nobody on at the moment. 5-1 San Francisco. Another slider, and again he got a piece of it. Ellis Burks, the 3-run shot that broke it open in the 3rd inning. That made it 5-1.
Barry Bonds had a triple and put the Giants ahead 2-1, and he finished off the inning with a 3-run homer.
Slider, and he just got a piece of it. The bat ends up in the seats. Somehow, before it took off on its journey into the seats, it made contact with that ball. To get his gamer back.
Well, he does get a piece of it, and the bat goes into the stands. I think they're going to trade. Yeah, they're trading. They're trading bats. He would take his gamer and give them a brand new one. And that's a good gesture on behalf of the fans.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Lenny Harris.
Because if the bat goes into the stands, you do not have to give it back.
Snow and Kent. Snow wants it. And the ball game is over. The Giants have a 1-0 lead in this National League Division Series. And Livan Hernandez again solidifies his reputation as being at his best on the big stage. And for Mike Hampton, another disappointment in October baseball. He has yet to win in 4 postseason series.
Well, I think this is the difference between being a wild card team and being a division winner that has the home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I think the Giants are the team to beat because of that home field advantage. And when you have so many teams that are that good close to you in the league, the home field advantage makes a big difference. And now this gets them off to a great start. Could have been a lot different if they would have started this series on the road rather than being at home. I think the Atlanta Braves found that out yesterday.
And the game turned around suddenly on the next pitch after Mike Hampton thought he had struck out Barry Bonds in the 3rd inning. So now the series will continue tomorrow, a twilight start, which could be a nightmare for the hitters, at least in the first couple of innings. And that will feature the Giants left-hander Sean Estes, a 15-game winner, and the Mets veteran lefty Al Leiter, a 16-game winner. That is 8 o'clock tomorrow, 5 Pacific on the Fox Network. We'll be back with you tomorrow with Game 2. Tom Glavine, 21-9 against Darryl Kyle, 20-9 from Busch Stadium, St. Louis. That's 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central. Joe and I will be coming to you from there. Division play continues again tomorrow. Now this is John Miller. Stay tuned for Sports Center. John Miller for Joe Morgan. So long from San Francisco.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.